manager has been a great job. I feel like I've really been doing my job.
Jeez, that guy.
It might be time to get off the Twitter for a little bit, Elon.
Yeah, if you have that much money, you shouldn't be online that much.
No, I mean, but I'm
stay
really
offline.
too mind.
After things. Well, this is an after things topic. I think it's a great after things topic.
It is, yeah. It's
Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. It's so weird.
I have a theory too. Sharing after things.
Okay, yeah. Then there's who's Notch. Notch was also tweeting out some stuff this weekend too. So it's like, just log off. Just log off, guys.
yeah. I would like to dedicate some time to talk about it because it is fascinating to me. Oh, look at Macaulay Culkin's best friend.
Ooh.
You know what's funny is it was so much fun. You run with that as much as you want. It was really a blast. And he was cool. Had a good time.
Nice.
Hey, Andrew,
Yes.
do we get to share any specifically detailed announcements this episode?
I don't. and it may be I share an announcement. We'll talk offline about this.
Okay, but I would imagine, I mean, hypothetically, if I had some news, or let me tell you a factual story of how excited I was when I did Halloween Horror Nights, like the second time, and I really wanted to help pre-shape the narrative of what my appearance meant and what I was going for and all that stuff, but I wasn't allowed to talk about it, and I know that was very frustrating to me personally in this historical vignette I'm talking about.
I would say that maybe the stakes are different here.
So apparently Shark Week starts on this Sunday. So
I cannot say anything.
I'm saying that. Well,
I'm
as
gonna
reported by
change
the
the topic now.
as reported by the
Yeah,
International Business Times, Discovery released the schedule for Shark Week. It starts Sunday.
But
Tune
also,
in.
I understand the impulse of all the suits to say, you know what, we don't need chaotic vectors out there that we are not.
Knowing what is unknown, we could probably just move on.
Okay.
There's I got a sunburn.
You got sunburn? Oh, yeah, I'm seeing it now. Like on your forehead.
Dude,
And your
take
nose?
this. No, watch.
Oh yeah, you can see that
Yeah,
line.
You got the line.
It's a
buddy.
little bit blown out.
Yeah, baseball. It's really cold, but then it's hot, and next thing you know, you get a sunburn.
Yeah. Then through those UV rays, they come through even through the clouds. I think that's how that works.
Yeah.
Welcome to Science Things. Gentlemen, I want you to know that I don't. Sorry, I got an unrelated spam message on my text.
Now's time to save money on your health insurance, Brian.
Yeah. You have been audited by the IRS.
I got a spam from the United Nation.
Really? Where they're like,
United
hey, we need your
Nation.
votes.
They finally all got together.
Yeah.
How do you get spam from the United Nations? From the UN?
United Nation.
Oh, the United
How
Nations.
money they have for me.
That's where they make all those planes. United Airlines.
Sorry, no. I'm thinking through.
It's fine. You don't have to laugh at it.
I'm thinking through how much we want to do in Weird Things versus After Things of everything. Is After Things all filled up? Because it sounds like there's a lot of after in.
We were
to
thinking
talk
for
about.
After Things doing, I don't know, talk about how to be a billionaire and run social media.
Wait, is that a thing? Are you both?
Elon Musk.
Oh,
Oh, you missed it? Did you miss this?
no, I don't. Is he melting down or something?
Ooh.
Is that a
I don't know if
favorite?
it's
That's the
meltdown.
favorite phrase, right? Is all the news bloggers say melting down over blank.
I think it's a stream of consciousness.
I guess I'll find out in After Things.
I guess you will.
What do you want to talk about, Brian?
Oh, I bought a Colt compound.
The Enigma album from the 1990s. That your performance of that you just did.
Oh yeah, with my minor key chants, Gregorian chants. Ça, donne-moi. Do, do, do. Many a booby was touched during that album.
All right, well, I'm good to go to start.
Many
whenever
a
you-
card was back palmed playing that album. Brian win, Andrew fail.
Are you guys good to start?
Yeah.
Yep, good.
All right, take it away, guys. In 3, 2.
Welcome to the Weird Things podcast. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian, always here, Brushwood.
Yeah, man, it's good to still be here and never once have not been.
Justin, eternally here, Young.
That's me. I'm here. That's my catchphrase.
And the real glue that holds this together, Mr. Bryce Castillo.
That's me, the glue.
It's me. What happens when horses are no longer worth keeping alive?
I wanted to do a horse thing, and I couldn't figure out how to make that. Was good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Saved
All right. Nailed it.
Okay, saved
Nailed it.
Bryce, when you know on the moment when to do it, that is when you will listen to Podcast Master. Gentlemen, it's great to have everybody here, and I want to talk about, there's a lot of fear about like robots and, the idea of like them taking our jobs and stuff, but the thing is there's always going to be things that where like humans are going to be needed, like fashion design, right? White collar sort of jobs or creativity you're going to want a human to do this, like fashion design. Certainly kind of these things predicting, what trends are going to be, what people are going to want, doing like merchandise buying and all that. And that's a thing I want everybody to relax and say, hey, there's always this just in, high skilled white collar work. Machines can do that too. Apparently now they're taking over fashion design and buying and things like this.
I mean, is it the worst fate for mankind to realize that the only jobs left are to be the person to decide what the robots should do for us? Like,
I think if you get that job, I think it's good.
I think at every level, eventually, there'll be I suspect that at every level, there will be open niches. Niches being the public's hunger for consumption of whatever the things are. I think almost everybody will be able to find some niche to tell a robot to do a thing, or instruct a robot, or take a robot that's like, for example, unexpected niche, GPS directions. Occasionally they go wrong. So there's a need that everybody has for the GPS to go right. And so there was bounties being offered where all you have to do is report, hey, the robot is tending to do this wrong, or this is updated, or this street is closed, or whatever. And then money would go to that person. And so people would eventually kind of, it became a gig, if not a full-time job, to report what the robots are doing wrong and make things better. I suspect that, and it's unfair. This is an unfair thing for me to say. Don't ask me what those jobs will be, because by definition, I won't know, because but I am imagining that whatever it is the robots are doing, there'll be some part of it that humans will wish they did better, and there will be humans who can make money helping robots do it better.
All right, I'm gonna put on my labor advocate thing. Okay, I'm gonna.
Here we go.
Amazon Prime
Organizer
Day. And I'm gonna
Andrew
stand
Main.
up for the work. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Understand? I may have arguments against some of the points I'm going to make, but let me be the person that says this. Now, if you go look on Mechanical Turk, Amazon's Mechanical Turk is a thing that Amazon came up with to say, hey, there are a lot of things that machines can't do really well. Like if you have a receipt, but object recognition or character recognition works pretty good with a receipt, but if that receipt is crumpled up, not so good. Mapping data, as Brian points out, some of this stuff not so good. So Amazon created this thing called Mechanical Turk, where you can sit at home, you can scan receipts, you can go to look at websites and give information, feedback on sort of like what does this do, sum up things like this. It was trying to find places, those edge cases where humans were needed, where machines were not good enough to do these things, but we'll have humans do it. Now, the problem with Mechanical Turk, now there are a number of people who live in areas where there's not a lot of jobs, factories closed down, whatever. Maybe they have health issues and they're homebound who do Mechanical Turk work. The problem with Mechanical Turk work as a way to make a living is it pays horribly. It pays absolutely horribly, because also you're competing with people in Indonesia and other countries that have much lower standard of livings. And that's one of the fears, is that, yes, there are going to be those jobs, but the problem is that, one, when you go global, you're competing with a global workforce that'll do it for a lot less. And two, those jobs are quickly being replaced by, like that receipt, we're 6 months away from somebody uploading a new crumpled receipt algorithm and that job going away. And there is the fear, I'm going to say the fear of this growing group of people, their skills don't allow them to, let's say, really participate in the economy in a meaningful way. And there are people who have skills. There are some jobs that pay you $150 an hour, $200 an hour. There's some jobs that pay you $7 an hour. And as we accelerate into the future, that you're going to get this polarity of people doing really well, the owners, and then people doing very, very, very poorly, and that this will be exacerbated by this fast-growing economy.
Justin, you have a take on this?
Of the rise of the machines and our inability. I mean, like, because we're kind of talking about two different things, right? Like Brian is saying that is it going to be so bad if we now move into this other class of job? And now we're not thinking of like, oh, okay, well, we need to do something. We're thinking about programming our machines to do something, or spotting, or making sure that maintaining these powerful industries. And I guess it is connected that, like, Andrew's point is then, yeah, but it will be for peanuts. We will not, like, it's not like we will have more money and more freedom by this. This is subjugation into, and I guess that's partly the issue of like a global economy, right? Is that we're not all used to getting paid the same amount of money.
Well, a flattening out of wages is not pleasant when you used to be on the high end of that inefficient market, whatever it is. And it's pretty great, though, when you're in the bottom billion or whatever, and you're making double the amount of money today. By the way, Weird Things All-Star Paul Freeland just tweeted me, because I mentioned that we're live doing this, and he responded, "When robots start taking the jobs of Hearthstone streamers, we'll know we're true and well-boned."
I mean, I don't think that's far away.
I don't. And in fact, but there will open up new jobs for people to design more interesting AIs. People will realize, you know what, watching AIs play is pretty boring. Why don't we build an AI with a really interesting personality? Oh, what if it had the personality of Dennis Rodman and Madonna or whatever, and run that simulation? I
think and I want to be clear, I'm way more in Brian's camp than I'm going to make myself out to be as I posit my sort of arguments here, because
I'm enjoying this. I really like you trying to challenge me, because I think you've done much more research on this than I have, and I think you have the better counter arguments.
Because I guess I think it comes from is like we're I watched this. I went to the Walt Disney Museum again. I love going to the Walt Disney Museum, right? And one of the things Walt talked about was like how Walt never wanted to work for anybody. Walt hated working for other people, and Walt was always could rather work for himself. And I think that's the three of us all sort of acknowledge that. Like we'd rather. I mean, I'd rather live out of my car and work for myself probably than have to do what a lot of us would do. But that's a choice I've made. But also have the ability to do that through circumstance, through whatever. I've always known how to make money. Overall, there are periods when, then better than other, whatever. I always known how to get by and survive. I've always been able to do that and been resourceful to that. Opportunity, gifts from nature, there may be other components to that. There are correlations between intelligence and business success, whatever, things like that. And I think the downside is that there are large groups of people that don't have the ability that we do to participate in the way we do, and I think that it could come down to a number of things. And you get into things like people who have, or you just get away from like, oh, I'm so smart, but people who have, health problems, things like this that are dependent upon certain kinds of jobs and stuff like that. I believe in the invisible hand, but I think the invisible hand, it's like, it can be slow, and it can be very, very slow to react. But also that, we've had this free enterprise and market economy has been a wonderful boon to humanity. The numbers show this. You look at the number of people that lifted out of poverty because of the market system, and you're like, but this bad thing happened there. Guess what? There were bad people in the world before, and there are after that. But absolutely, it's been wonderful. That being said, as you can see, and I bring up this example like New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, there are cities now where the economy has been super booming tremendously for many cases, but for some people, they're unable to participate and they have to move or get moved out of housing or whatever because of that. And I'm not saying it's morally right or wrong. I think that and just saying that is a consequence.
Yeah. And I guess, and when we get into the weeds on these things, almost always, when you and I disagree and start arguing, it's almost always because one of us is taking the 1,000-year view and the other one's taking the 100-year view. I think you're 100% right. It's going to be ugly. Progress is always ugly, and you'll always be able to see the person who suddenly doesn't have a job, and you don't necessarily see the microscopic increase in quality of living for the rest of society that happens as a result of it. And I don't want to act like nothing should be done about those things, but in my perfect, fantastical vision, let's take the Hearthstone example, right? Like right now we're seeing a burgeoning industry of Hearthstone streamers, people playing tournaments, and other people like to watch. What happens when the AIs start beating the humans? Well, number one, that's an interesting story, but at some point we get oversaturated with it and we want to start seeing a more interesting story. So now there's a niche, an opening for a more interesting story of a team of young people, mathematicians who are trying to put together the ultimate Hearthstone AI that will crush all of it. And then that becomes the story. And then at that point, there's a bunch of those, and we're bored of that story. So now it becomes a new team of even AIs, a guy managing AIs to design another AI that does it with the most style or panache or in the most outrageous way possible or whatever. It feels like, to me, that society in general has a hunger for different types of stories. And when that hunger is unmet, it feels like energy will fill that area. And of course, this is all just in the artistic space, which is not necessarily fair because there's somebody who's like, that's a fine story, Brian, but my job was to drive this truck and now I can't drive trucks anymore. And I guess I'm speaking to my level of, or my domain of expertise. And I just am projecting or hoping that there's some analog of that can happen somewhere else.
Well, I would say that my hope is that one, people understand you've got to be in the mindset to be willing to retrain and learn something new. If you say, I don't want to learn anything new, I remember watching, as a kid, they talked about Detroit, this assembly plants being shut down. And you talk to somebody who had great pension, great job, everything, but their job was to pull a lever. Their job was to pull a lever. And that was it. That was all they were trained for. And then all of a sudden they lost their job. And that's we all have to be mindful of your job can come to an end any moment, any job. Nobody is, and I hear this be like, oh, my industry's safe because of this. Like, yeah, but all it takes is somebody to come up with innovation, and you need half as many people in your industry, and your wages will go down because there's 50% of people in your industry looking for those jobs and whatnot. I think one is everybody has to be prepared for the idea of you got to be constantly willing to retrain and learn new things. You got to be willing to retrain and learn new things. Second thing is I'm all for using enterprise to come up with better ways to do that. I've been in love with like Udemy, Udacity, lynda.com and all these things because, man, you can pick up a lot of skills. They're super cheap and skills that have market capabilities. And, my sympathy for people are like, I can't find work. And they're telling me about like, they've watched the last 5 seasons of Full House on Netflix. And I'm like, have you thought about doing Udemy? I don't have time. It's like, all right, I have no sympathy for you because you're waiting for somebody else to solve the problem. In my opinion, when you're finally waiting for government to solve the problem, it's too big of a problem. In my opinion. So, but yeah, I agree. I think we agree. I'm just sort of coming to the point of view of like saying, how does it work at a lower level? Like, when Deep Blue won chess, it's not like, chess is over now. Machines won. Nobody's going to play chess anymore.
Well, and keep in mind, and this is the last thing I'll say on this, is my hope is I can imagine, again, this is all speculation, I can imagine somebody who, there's what we think is valuable about people, and then there's what turns out to be valuable about people. If you are a living person who is a member of the Greatest Generation and was there at World War II or whatever, then there might be a strong monetary value for you to spend 3 weeks answering questions from AIs and telling stories and capturing your experience, both for the actual story of your experience, but also to understand the mindset. Like, how valuable would that be to get straight from the horse's mouth what people were thinking and all of these things. That is on paper today something that is not very valuable. It's what we associate with Grandpa having his fourth Milwaukee light at Thanksgiving, and here he goes again telling this story or whatever. There will be a time that will be an extremely rare and precious commodity. And what I hope is that the AIs, yes, they take all of our jobs, but they also open up of value to things that we currently find completely valueless.
I can imagine a version of the AI economy that is so growing at such a fast, incredible rate that underemployment will be a problem. I mean, there's not going to be enough people to fill jobs. I can see one version of that happen. I hope that's what happens. I find that a much preferable alternative to, the universal incomes and things like that, which to me are a recipe for huge problems.
Could be.
So, yeah.
Well, you want to know what's a recipe for great solutions? Patreon.com/Weird Things. That's where you can go ahead and support our show. If you like this program, well, kick in a little scratcheroo, huh? At patreon.com/Weird Things, you can make sure that you get your custom RSS feed that delivers our after show, After Things, right to the podcatcher of your choice. You using the Apple Podcast? How about the Google Play? How about one of them there fancy podcatchers that you got to pay money for, like Overcast or Castro? They all take RSS feeds, and that's what you're going to get when you go become a patron at patreon.com/Weird Things.
Somebody in the chat said invisible backhand.
Yeah. In the long run, we'll all be dead. I want a high-tech CEO was getting some criticism on Twitter and responded to that.
I know nothing of this story, and I cannot wait to hear it through all three of your lenses. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, I'm talking about Magic Leap.
Oh,
and Roni Abovitz. I'm talking about that. I don't know what CEO you're talking about. I thought maybe we might talk about that on After Things.
Okay.
So Magic Leap has been this very hyped company. Magic Leap makes, or presumably is going to be making, these augmented reality, basically goggles, whatever. You put them on, you see your room around you, then all of a sudden things can jump out at you. not unlike Apple has ARKit, Google now has their own AR something. Google has their own, what they're doing with that. So AR, augmented reality, is a big thing, very, very big. And Microsoft HoloLens. Microsoft is the first company, I think, major company to come out with an actual product that you can buy right now. HoloLens looked super cool until we realized that you're looking through like a small little tiny window there, which does not create a persistent reality, according to some people. Magic Leap got hyped because they were supposed to have some sort of secret, sort of like better way to do this sort of thing, to present these images in front of you. And then as we finally saw the hardware, we're like, this looks a lot like the other people, what they're doing, with the same stuff. But they talk about, we have a light field display, we have this tech, we have this, and it's like, I've got a AR set over here that projects video in front of my eyes kind of thing. So, I haven't used it. I have no idea what it's really like, but they've been some first demos and stuff have been coming out of it. And listen, every company deserves the chance to actually show their stuff, release what they're going to release and have us judge it on that, not on what tech journalists say about it. Because we've seen examples of people bemoaning stuff and turning out that, it was actually way better than said. But if you type in Magic Leap demo, you get headlines like Magic Leap's disappointing demo could be bad. Extreme Tech, Magic Leap's first demo is anything but impressive. Magic Leap's long-awaited demo will ship this summer. So finally, and so they're apparently going to be shipping the demo this summer through AT&T stores. But people who've looked at this, what they've seen so far, the reaction's been muted at best.
Yeah. So here's the problem with Magic Leap. It was apparently like the demo to beat all demos. Like when we first started hearing about
4
this,
years ago, 5 years ago,
something like that. And it was people loved the there was like a demo where a little elephant came out of a teacup or something like that. It has since been, the CEO is a bit of a cagey fella and has, kind of had this. All right, look, the product will be done when it's done. We're working on it. We're trying to figure it out. And it's gotten to the point lately where there's a lot of like, well, how much is here? They have, that's Bryce is now showing expectations versus reality, where some of the this is like the expectation was there's this high definition, beautiful cresting whale erupting out of a high school gymnasium, and then what's kind of being shown that is real, that I guess will be shipped with the Magic Leap, is basically a maybe slightly more detailed Pokemon Go.
Yeah, it really does look like it. Not even Switch level graphics. Yeah.
So they rightfully got dinged for they had an amazing demo of a first-person shooter game that would like erupt out of your office that now seems to be more and more just sort of vaporware. It was just a
fantasy mock-up of what might have been.
Yeah,
so they released this, the shoot 'em up game. Actually, like Weta helped do the VFX for that. It looked cool. Like all of a sudden things are popping on your house, your office is this big battle zone. And then they got like people like, is this a real demo? Is this a real demo? And they're like, yeah. And then they showed like, we're going to put a camera and show you what this thing looks like. And they showed an AR robot bobbing up and down and hopping around, not unlike anybody could do now with ARKit on the iPhone. And you're like, that's not what we saw in the demo. And they're saying like, well, you have to see it through our goggles to really see. I'm like, okay, like your images are kind of translucent, which tells us you're kind of doing, waveguide stuff, but it's still.
Sorry, what's waveguide? Walk me through the tech side of that.
It's basically like a material where light goes through there and reflects through it. I mean, it's just a different way of sort of like using a material to reflect through it. So it's basically the waves are sort of guided through the material itself. So you could like put it, you know, like fiber optic cables and stuff, and you can put a little nick in a little bit of one, and you see the glow all of a sudden. Kind of like, I mean, roughly, sort of, basically that.
Got it.
So anyhow, what we've seen doesn't look all that different from the demos from Apple and Google. They've showed us with their AR systems using existing hardware. Now, granted, what this is, they're saying is like, hey, no, ours are glasses, so it's a lot like the HoloLens. And then, you know, we watched this amazing demo a couple of years ago, The Office, and then when they've done these demos here, like, here's a rock monster throwing rocks at you. Like, okay, that's, and it's still a little shaky, by the way.
But also, like, I don't know, and maybe this is just the marketer in me. I don't know that having a rock monster throw rocks at me while I'm in my kitchen is the most inspirational, mind-expanding, aspirational, early demo of this.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
it's like
the
just
stuff
doing
that-
the same thing over and over. It's like the same animation. There's not really even.
And it is impressive that it will track the rock through the room, and it will, you know, we saw it a second ago break against the opposite wall when you dodged it, but it's still very primitive.
You can do that now, though. The thing is that Apple's AR kit will do multiple planes, will do multiple surfaces, so you can do that. I think Google's AR, God, I forget what the AR is called, can do similar. So, I mean, that's the problem we're at, is that we're hardware, like on phones and stuff, is capable of doing this. Now, granted, it's not the same as putting on goggles and seeing this, but we're not that far away from where chipsets are and the capability to do that. You know, so my concern is like, yeah, by the time it's here's the problem. When you say, hey, I'm gonna be a technological innovator, I'm gonna lead this. We saw this electric car companies a lot. They're like, we're gonna build the most amazing electric car, better than anybody else can do. And we're going to build it because, you know, we want to recreate the Volkswagen Bug. So it's going to be, you know, it's not going to be, it'll be the car for everybody. And you saw the electric car companies kept failing because they wanted to create this mass market thing, but they're going up against a lot of people who know what the heck they're doing. And you ended up with these really slow cars with no battery life that cost way too much. Musk went in and said, no, I'm going to do what it does best. It's short range, but I'll make it go really, really fast and sell it to rich people first with the Roadster. He did that. Then once he did that, he could scale up and make this mass thing. When you're Magic Leap, you're saying, you know, great, you got $1 billion in funding. You're going to go up against Apple and Google, who spend billions every year on software and chipsets in an industry. And that's the problem, is you're all converging on the same point. What's going to make you special? So.
Yeah, I guess they do have the advantage of being, you know, early adopters. And who knows? Whoops, that's a thing. I'm getting a phone call. They do have the advantage of being very, very early in this, and we don't know what behind the scenes things they're working on, but we also don't know what behind the scenes things all of their future competitors are working on as well. And so,
Yeah. Can I posit this? Are they that early? I mean, you've seen really, really, really cool things out of Google and Apple on this front. You've already had ostensibly a breakout hit AR game in Pokemon Go. So it's like, I don't know. This isn't 5 years ago. Magic Leap was one of the most exciting companies to watch for me because despite the fact that they are, based out of Andrew and I's hometown, it was really, really cool to think like, okay, there's this stealth thing that nobody really quite understands, and it was really, really early. Now, I don't know. I considering where even like Instagram and Snapchat are with AR stuff, like I think that you got to really bring it. Like you have to really, really, really make you gotta blow the doors off to get attention in that space now, and nothing that I've seen from them has done it, and every step of like beyond the hype has been a disappointment from the form factor of the headset. Like they did these demos, these secretive demos with journalists, but they had to be plugged into like, you know, an old like cabinet computer like thing in a very specialized room, and now this stuff, it's like I'm starting to think that the Emperor has no clothes.
Well, if I'm giving a generous interpretation, or at least trying to project in the situation that they are, they knew that they had something, and they knew that this will be the future, and they knew that they had the King of Tech demos, and they also knew that they needed money to fund all of this stuff, right? So it becomes the kind of thing where it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to generate hype by sharing it and having generous positive interpretations of what this means down the road or whatever, and we are going to harvest that goodwill into getting investors and that kind of stuff. But now I think they are feeling the pains of that, in that at some point you got to start delivering a thing, and at some point you got to start sharing it, and they're all like, well, we think we're far enough along, and it sounds like that they weren't able to keep to the schedule, because in an alternate universe, the demo that they did is, we'll say, 2 years farther down the road, more cutting edge, and it really does blow everyone's mind. And they do generate a second wave of unprecedented enthusiasm on there. But it just sounds like they weren't able to get there fast enough.
The betrayal to me is that demo seemed to what the real promise was we've solved how this looks visually, and we've solved how this can work in terms of power, of just having a system capable of rendering things at a certain level. And it's like, it doesn't seem that they have solved either of those problems in reality.
There's a tweet by David Chinsky. He says, shows images from all the differences. Magic Leap in 2015. Our mixed reality headsets let you fight digital space aliens and robots using real-world 3D printed weapons. Magic Leap in 2016. Look, all these kids are seeing a whale in a gym. Magic Leap today. This little dude can throw rocks at you.
Accurate.
And that's the thing, is that, like, we got this thing over 3 years ago of like, oh, wow, you guys are there because, if you guys are really, if this is a real, and they said, they strongly implied that was a real game, a real thing that they were doing. We're led to believe that this thing was real and whatever. And then things changed, and then it's like, maybe not so much. And notice there too, it's like, we're thinking they're doing a much, much higher tech thing than just, I don't know, a camera and putting video onto a screen in front of your eyes. I had heard speculation that, they're going to be using like
Man,
LCD.
seeing these side by side, it is inexcusable. Yeah. It is inexcusable, the level of hype that they sold based on what they gave. I've been trying to be generous, but I am losing my patience with this.
And Brian, one thing too that's interesting too is that when we watched that demo, is objects weren't translucent. And that was one of the big things, was like, oh, wow, and if these things aren't translucent, that's going to be really cool, because are they using LCD shutters and stuff and doing this? Nope.
I mean, that's like, this game that we are watching right now would be great if it was on just PC, if it was just a first-person shooter. Like, it would be a really, really cool thing, let alone that you're actually, like, playing it in your office and all the different, just look at all the attention to detail of, like, them, the scoring of the scorching of, like, stuff behind you, like the wall, your real life wall has effects on it and it's falling apart. Like, come on.
Although, oh man. And what's funny is yet, even though knowing how short they've fallen from their concept video, I still maintain excitement about the ideas.
It's such a pitiful little rock monster.
It's just Bowser.
I'm gonna give that one. That's a GFF, not a BFF.
Oh, yeah.
And I will listen. I have a soft spot on my heart for visionaries who take a little bit longer to deliver on what they're trying to deliver. So the book is not closed on Magic Leap. I want to be on these microphones in the not too distant future and going, oh my God, I was wrong, or holy cow, it's amazing, and I'm so glad they succeeded.
I've always rooted for them. and I will continue to root for them. And I think that if lost in all this is that it does seem like they have their tracking on the hands really good. Like that is something that they're trying to demo is, how easily you can interface stuff without any kind of controller, which has been a problem. So that's fairly cool. But I mean, come on, man. Expectations and reality, I guess.
I'll tell you what, though. I am inspired. Like, imagine we get to a point where it's not weird that people are wearing these all day long. And imagine somebody's, let's say it's crazy enough that some artists are able to do stuff like create psychological thrillers where it's like the rules are live your entire day and you essentially get a they live experience where one of the people you run into, has like snake eyes or something, or like it starts messing with your head, adding weird stuff, and your job is to get through your day job without melting down and try to figure out what's happening or something. I mean, there's insane things that you could do with this that would make life, if not I don't know, more interesting.
I'll tell you, Brian, you brought this up a couple of times, that the idea of like, all right, well, when does the worm turn in terms of heads up displays and they are not these odd things? And I'll tell you what, I have had my opinion changed on that because I initially I was kind of like, well, look, if it looks stupid, it's always going to look stupid and people are going to think it's stupid and they're going to think you're stupid and there'll be societal pressure that will make that a slow transition. But those Apple AirBuds, the AirPods, just looked so silly initially, but the product was good enough that people love them, and now I don't even look twice at them. I
don't mind. I'm holding up my Bose quiet control.
That still looks stupid.
That's fine. Don't
care.
It
reminded me of the horse from Walt Disney cartoons.
The function is so good, I don't even care. It's like.
But I guess that's my point. Is I'd be shocked if that became a thing. I don't mean this to say that that's good or bad product, because obviously it's a good enough product that you've run through like 3 of them and you keep getting them.
Thank
sure.
God.
putting on his Oculus Go.
But I'm talking about like just mass adoption. That for Brian, for your daily living, you're either the head of the household or you go to an office where you're the boss and nobody can really be like, hey, look at those dumb headphones. Like, there's not really a lot of places where you're like, oh, I gotta impress.
I'm still trying to figure out how I could still wear them on stage, so I could be like full David Copperfield taking phone calls while in mid performance.
I think that when the utility is there and you're like, I don't care, like I wear my AirPods and it was funny, like I'm one of these guys, like I'll have them in all the time and I'm in the upper edge of douchiness. And it was funny as I walk into the local like CVS near me. I'm walking around and I see one other guy with them in his ears, looking like me, as douchey as I am. I'm like, hey, Justin Willman, how you doing? And we're like, hey, and I'm like, we're those guys, So,
and I'll tell you what,
I think when the utility is there, like, Snap came out with their spectacles, right? Which was like, we're going to solve all the problems of the Google Glass to not make it awkward. Like, this is really awkward. Now I can't even see the eyes of the person watching me and recording me. And it's, I said before, the problem with the Snap spectacles is the camera's facing the wrong way for that audience. But I could see, some big dumb things like big glasses like that were augmented reality, and it's like your phone. Like I hang out with my friends, our phones are put away. We're like, hey, everybody, let's put on our glasses and let's have a fun tabletop game experience or go to the park. You're gonna have so much fun, you won't care what other people think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like cosplay.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a world where you could have like the functionality of Google Glass, which is kind of the cautionary tale of all of these kinds of conversations. But the functionality wasn't terrible. It was just not worth the cost of looking like a total idiot all 24/7. Like it just was not worth it.
Yeah, it was all Google Glass did was add another accessory to save you the trouble of reaching into your pocket. It didn't bring anything else to it that you understood. Like we can all see. I think we all agree. Like there's a point in the future where augmented reality, whether it's Magic Leap, Google Glass, or Apple, or some other company or player, or some other form, or everybody's playing, is a thing that we maybe we don't do it 24/7, but maybe large parts of the day you just sit there and put these things on, and you have these kind of neat either entertainment or work experiences. I totally see that being part of the landscape.
Just even in that Google Glass demo, and if you're only listening, then you're not seeing it. But it's like even in the demo, it's lopsided. It's just like it's like folding, like it's just on its side, like Fred Flintstone's car when the rib gets put on it. Like it's just so weird.
Well, and by the way, that can work if you're to what it reminds me of are those jewelers lenses where it's like you got the one monocle and you're looking down to see stuff. And in that profession, I understand you're sitting down in your workstation. That's what you're going to be. And I think there was a generation of, I don't know, job-specific tactical displays for like first responders or whatever. And it's like,
apparently Google Glass does live on in enterprise. That there are certain things, and what I've seen is it's for like factory workers. If you're like finding or categorizing or sorting things, the fact that it's an always on way to like scan stuff is really important.
Yeah, but that's not what they pitched, and that's not where they aimed. And I think we're seeing Magic Leap do the exact same thing. Oh my God! I think that Magic Leap aimed at the wrong sector. They should talk about how useful this is going to be for this specific job and this specific niche.
Well, they've talked about the workplace of the future environment, but everything they've done has been game based. So I think that's where they want to get into is. Sure, they would do enterprise, but games. I'm wearing a little, it's a device that's a little mini heads-up display thing that I picked up for a project. It's kind of cool because what it can do is I can actually plug this into my iPhone if I want to turn that into a heads-up display. So I'm doing that right now.
And so it just displays what's on your iPhone?
Yeah, it displays what's on. It takes my iPhone screen and puts it in front of my eye. So I realized that this thing probably should be charged in order for it to work. Oh wait, yeah, it's amazing. It is working. Okay, yeah. So anyhow,
Andrew Main
but it's great for totally. If I want to go on an airplane flight, make sure nobody talks to me.
Yeah.
So, I forget. This is the Views or something like that. I think this is what it's called. The Viewfind, VUFINE. So. Anyhow, it's if you want to play around with like just doing a little mini heads up display, that's kind of a neat thing, and you can do. I got it for like $200, but gentlemen, last we spoke on Adventure Quest.
Adventure Quest.
Is that the name? I thought it was.
I thought it was Mission Quest.
Yeah.
Mission Quest.
Previously,
this is a side game that happens in the future that I haven't told you about yet.
Got it. Well, here, let's get caught up.
Yeah, so it's been about a month. Here we go. Last time on Mission Quest.
Mission Quest.
I think that black Escalade might have been following us all the way from San Diego.
What's your name, by the way?
Hawthorne. What you're looking at is a black comet.
Are we about to Armageddon this?
Boom! Del Taco's blown up. So you want to know about Troll? I can tell you about Troll. I can tell you why Elon Musk won't tell you about Troll.
Thank you,
So good.
Stephen Crane. Thank you so much for that. Check him out.
Good.
So you guys were led on to a conspiracy. You're told that the world may be facing imminent demise, maybe from a comet we don't see. That's one explanation, but we're going to find out as we go deeper. We can go deeper. That's what we're going to find out as we go deeper.
Well,
that there is a deeper.
Yo, Justin, we just watched that Del Taco blow up. It exploded. Whatever this is, I'm done thinking that this is a crazy person. I think there's something to this. I'm glad we have this laptop with the password DIAC. We need to dive in on this.
I'm really, really glad you weren't in there getting soda at the time that it blew up.
Me too, I guess. Not sure how that's relevant to our current
Just
adventure.
saying. Anyway, moving on. Apropos of nothing, Brian, I think that this laptop makes us a real target.
Yeah,
I think
man.
if people are out here blowing up Del Tacos, they're gonna want to blow us up.
I saw the Sandra Bullock vehicle, the Net. I think we're marked people, and there might be a GPS tracker in here. I say we got to get the heck out. So,
Dennis Miller. I'm Dennis Miller. You're Sandy.
okay, that works. That works. I think Dennis Miller dies, unfortunately.
You're Dennis Miller. I'm Sandy.
Okay.
You know what else since I've seen the Net?
I know that we need to get the heck out of here. Do we have a vehicle? Is our car still here?
Game Master.
You guys left on foot after the last location you went to, and it's been so long I don't even remember.
Okay, well, I
think you guys were driving off in the Escalade.
Oh, his stolen car. Or his car that we're, I guess, stealing or inherited. Maybe we're in his will.
You got a flat tire. Now you're on foot. You're in an industrial park. You have the laptop. You watch some videos, explain some of the background to you. Now you're trying to figure out what are you going to do next, because you found out there's this conspiracy to hide what may be a giant object hurtling towards Earth that's about to wipe out everybody on there. You talk to a sad, sad, sad man who had telescopes that revealed to him what's going on, and he's given up. He doesn't think anything can be done. There's nothing can be solved.
Justin, we got to find a lead. Where do we go next?
Public.
No,
Let's announce to the world that we have the facts.
You know what? Hold on. What if we do like a dog whistle? Let's go live, because this conspiracy is big enough that we can maybe pretend like we're doing a night attack thing and drop some hints and see if maybe somebody's watching who knows something. So,
hey, you guys over there, check me out. I'm a homeless dude.
All right, let's, I open up the Periscope on my phone and I say,
No, I'm literally standing in front of your car. Roll down your window.
Okay, all right. I'll roll down the window while still opening Periscope.
I had a job once.
Yeah, that's nice. That's real nice, guy. If you don't mind, we're comedy people. We're going to do a live stream.
I found out about this comet. It was going to hit Earth.
Hang on. How do you spell being
They fired
funny?
me from JPL, and they said if I said anything about it, if I went online on Twitter or whatever, I'd get nuked from orbit.
Brian,
What?
stop what you're doing right now.
But I was about to go
Stop
live.
what you're doing. We should definitely stream on Twitch instead of Periscope.
Oh no, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right, hold on.
They murder people over.
Let me get the
They
tweet.
murder people over those.
Hobo, take your bindle on elsewhere. We're trying to live stream here.
All right, I'm gonna go on. Go
Oh,
play
wait.
the harmonica and catch a train.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Professor Bindlestiff, are you on Twitch?
Bindlestein!
Yeah, Bindlestein.
All right, all right. I'm sorry for all the harsh language. We just watched a man get killed and a Del Taco exploded. There's not even any soda to be had. Don't get me started. Here's the deal. I snapped at you, and that's a apology from me. I'm sorry for yelling. What were you saying again about you used to work at JPL?
Worked at JPL right up the road there. Used to work in astronomy. And then I say one day to my bosses, hey, I think there's someone heading towards Earth. They're like, shut up. I'm like, I need to tell people. I'm going to go on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
Well, they didn't fire me as much as they tried to fire at me.
Wait.
Guns, I'm telling you. So I went on the run. Been a hobo ever since.
Is this just
wait
an
a minute.
amazing coincidence that you found us, or are we on your radar? Why did you seek us out?
I heard there might be a couple boys in trouble and I could help them out. And I started to talk like this after I lost my job.
All right. Well, if let's say theoretically we had solid proof that what you said is true, who would be the person that we would want to go to get this kind of proof to?
Yeah, and also just in case, since we're talking theoretically, let's assume that it's not here in the car with us because that would be unsafe. And then maybe if you're a bad guy, you would have power over us. Theoretically, maybe we have backed up multiple copies and you'll never find them all. But
Yeah, that's the ticket. Backed up multiple copies. Yeah.
What I would do in your situation is you need to create your own parallel power structure, one that can compete with the forces after you. You want to create your own, I don't want to use the word army. Let's use a more benign term. Let's say cult.
Okay, go on.
If you had your own followers, your own team, your own security apparatus, perhaps you might stand a chance.
Man, it seems to me that if we did, maybe they could appear as individual characters in this adventure as we go through. You know what? We have a list of patrons of Weird Things over at patreon.com/weirdthings. We'll take a look and see if we can call any of them into action.
What I'm saying is I think you need to recruit people to your side by convincing them of the merits of what you have to say.
Yeah.
I've given up. No more of this for me. But hey, there's a young man over there.
Let's go.
I look over there. Who's there?
Is it Bryce?
You there, young man with the partially shaven side of your head and curly hair on the side. Listen to some, is that EDM music? I've got to mosey on. These gentlemen have a proposition for you.
Well, hello, gentlemen.
Hey, listen up. Look, I don't want to freak you out. And you know how like a cult usually has some kind of doomsday scenario and maybe a charismatic
I won't
set
call
of
it a
leaders.
cult. Say it's a self-awareness movement.
Okay.
This is how you're going to start this conversation, partner?
I'm just trying to say we're definitely not a cult. But
I kind of think all the cults say that.
Brian.
By the way, my
You
name's
wanna take
Jack
two on that?
Parsons. Look up who my roommate is. You'll be amazed.
okay, all right.
Okay, a lot of information. Brian,
Yeah.
come on. Focus.
Okay.
You gotta go. If you're gonna introduce yourself to a stranger, you have to do it in the most efficient way possible.
Okay.
Just repeat after me.
Yeah.
Hey, boss.
You know what? I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to say howdy, boss. I know it's an extra syllable, but I think
Explore
it'll
the
be
room.
worth it.
Explore the room.
Yeah, okay, all right,
Just
all right.
focus. Come on.
Yeah.
I need you at 100%.
Okay, no, I'm dialed in.
All right, go.
We
right.
could,
Howdy,
Hi.
boss.
Hi.
Listen, do you like the world existing?
generally, yes.
Would you like to see the world continue to exist?
Sure.
Tell him you have a problem and you want to know how he would solve it.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We need a superhero to save the day, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, so,
I'd like to think of myself as someone who could solve problems.
Okay, hypothetically, let's say we had definite information that the world was going to end because a black comet was on its way to destroy the Earth, and yet some moneyed interest figured that they'd rather keep the business of business continuing to business, while, as far as I'm guessing, they're building a spaceship for the super elites to leave planet Earth or some nefarious crap. Remember that Taco Bell that was just behind us? They used to have sodas and tacos and the whole 9 yards, and it's gone now. So that's some proof. We need a third member of our team. What's your name, by the way?
Oh, John.
John.
Joel John.
All right, listen up. Joel John.
Yeah, Joel John.
We need a lieutenant. You're it until you die or we find somebody better.
Oh, geez.
Hop into this
I
Escalade.
probably would have picked a different voice if I knew this was going to be the commitment level of this character.
Come on, Joel John.
I feel like you asked me a question.
Jarrell John, you can. I'm just a hobo. Yeah, you can tell him that's just a voice you use when you talk to strangers. You can use your regular voice if you like.
Anyway,
Joel John, it's your commitment to the bit that drew us to you.
Yeah, no, I don't put on any voices. I talk like this all the time. I'm definitely not trying very hard not to sound like Alex Jones.
Joel John, listen. Do you watch? Who do you think is into that conspiracy place that just might believe us. Somebody that when we bring them this evidence, they'll say, "I knew it," and we can plug into their network.
Well, if you ask me,
Yeah. You, Joel John.
Joel John.
Yeah. No. Also, hey, boss, we have a real
Hey,
problem. I don't know how you can, how you would solve it.
Yeah, who's the guy with the beard here?
Oh,
you
hi.
guys-
My name is Justin. We have similar names, therefore creating an instant
Yeah.
bond.
No relation.
Yeah, no relation. Wink. But I'm great. It's great to have you on the team. Here's the other thing. You stew on that. Think
Okay.
about who we would want to go talk to. Also, Professor Bindlestaff over there said that we need to look into who his roommate was in college. Man,
It wasn't college. It's the early days of JPL. I helped start it.
Why
By the way.
why are you still here? Do you just want to? All right, you.
Is this a
Hey,
literal
what was your
hobo
name?
with you guys?
Yes,
I
yes,
just-
it's a literal hobo, but
I see. He's got the bindle stick and everything. It's
yes, yes.
Listen,
cartoony
I
old
think you
timey.
guys are off to a great start. I like the names that you're Jor-El John, Jor-El Justin, Jor-El Brian. I love the idea. That's a great start. You know, my roommate lived with me for a while when I first started the JPL. By the way, I didn't tell you my real name, but let's just say that JP might be in my name, and who my roommate is might give you some ideas on how to start this
Wait.
organization.
Wait,
but that's
you
irrelevant.
didn't
That's just me just
tell us your
talking.
name.
Yeah, what?
You told us their name. I think was it Jordan Peterson or something.
His name was Jet Propulsion. And I guess his roommate was Labs.
Laugh, 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 funny boys. Anyhow, here's the thing. You are going to need more people in your team, particularly if you plan on taking over Death Hammer and using that to strike the Black Comet. That's all I'm trying to say.
What's the
Oh my
death
god!
hammer?
Oh my god! No! It sounds like we have a chance to stop the end of the world. Hey, real quick. What was your roommate name?
It's for you to find out and me to know.
All right, look, I immediately start running in the direction of the nearest public library. I was like, "Come on, guys!" Or Starbucks. I'll settle for either.
Here's what I can tell you, gentlemen. I've made certain choices in my life, certain pacts, certain compacts, if you will, that have allowed me to live maybe longer than a man should. But because of this, I'm here to tell you and warn you now. You're welcome.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So you're a vampire. Cool. You've made a dark bargain that has led you to a mortal life, and now you stalk the streets, looking for your fresh kills.
Yeah. Also, I snap photos of Professor Bindlestiff, and I immediately tweet out like, "Look at this guy who's down on his luck, LOL." And
Wait a
then
minute.
tweet it publicly.
Wait. So you were.
Oh, you guys use Twitter?
JP.
I'm a big Snapchat guy.
Oh, okay. All right. Good.
Add me
That's
on Snap.
good. Joel.
I will tell you this: I'm 104 years old. People thought I died a long time ago, but that's a lie.
Wait
I
a
didn't
minute.
really lose my job at JPL. I had another job under another name there because I like to stay around the place because, I kind of helped
Are you
create it.
Professor Richard Feynman? Are you Richard Feynman?
No, you moron. I'm not Richard Feynman.
Wait a minute. Was
Einstein?
your roommate the L we are looking for? L. Ron Hubbard? Oh my god!
It didn't work
you
out between
organic
us. We had sort of
Scientology.
a difference of opinions on certain matters.
Wait a minute. So your strategy to us is to build a religion for ourselves that then we can wield to take down a massive government conspiracy that could lead to the fiery death of the entire world by way of a black comet.
More or less, yes, that is the point I was trying to make. I guess I could have come right out and told you
I
that.
feel like we got there eventually.
That's brilliant. Let's do it. Finally, the world will know the name of Jorel Justin. Jorel Brian.
All right, thank you for the tips, boss. Jeez. All right, listen, gentlemen. If the three of us are going to found a religion, it's
Funny thing about me, though, is, I'm known as
God.
Jack Parsons, which is actually the JP and JPL comes from, but my born name, the name I was born with, was Marvel Whiteside Parsons.
Wow,
Marvel, kind of cool, isn't it?
it is.
Like
Like
a
comic
books? In the movies, cinematic universe.
Maybe White Side.
What? No, I don't know what side.
That's a weird.
Why are you rolling up the window?
It's
wait. I've got more.
Yeah, no, okay, all right, off we go. Look, I don't feel safe here next to the smoldering remains of this Del Taco. Let's see if there's.
Yeah, what happened over there?
Oh, we need to steal another car. We had an accident.
Oh yeah, this car is broken.
Yeah, well,
I can tell just by looking at it.
You know what? I've got AAA gold, so let me just see if they'll tow you up to 100 miles in anywhere. So let me just make that call.
And then we steal the tow truck.
Yeah, yeah, no, that works. Or we just try to convert
And then
him.
we have both cars.
Maybe hell be our first. Here, I'm going to call
Wait,
AAA
I thought I
guy.
was
We'll see if we can get him
hey,
on board.
I thought I was the first.
Oh, wait, yeah, no, we've already had one success.
What's going on?
Glad. Listen, it's
I can leave. I can go.
No,
I gotta work
I'm
at the steel
super
plant.
thrilled. I'm
You
super
already
thrilled.
became such a part of the family.
And in fact, you get to keep up to 20% of all of the income of everybody you recruit underneath you.
Oh, this is smart. This is like multiple levels.
It is. It does work on multiple levels.
Okay, yeah.
So where do you want to go, Justin? Where do we go next?
Brian, we go to our Uber app and we go somewhere else. So we're not just robbing a tow truck operator.
Okay, fine. I call up Uber and
Hello, Uber. Very weird that you called us. What can we do for you?
I said I called up an Uber, not that I called them.
It's
on
like
the
when you
phone.
wait online.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
waiting in
seriously,
line.
you called up
Not a
Uber.
queue.
This is kind of weird.
I saw. Yeah.
Hey, give him the hey boss.
Hey, boss, we really need to get somewhere fast. Can you come pick us up?
I'm in Pasadena. Where are you at?
We're by. Do you remember that taco Del Taco back when?
Oh,
it was
yeah, the Del Taco got blown up and they turned it into a Taco Bell like real fast.
Yes, correct.
But it was still blown up. It didn't really fix it.
But
That
they
one went
forgot
up
to
in a
put it
grease
together.
fire.
Yeah, I know where that is. I'll come get.
Okay,
Listen,
thanks.
We almost
I'm
missed that
not
one.
married to this job, so yeah, I'll come pick you up.
Okay, great. Come on over. Quick.
I already know where you are because it's Uber.
Okay, that's great. Also, what's your name?
Oh, my name is
Your new name is
George.
Kia Sportage. George.
George.
All right.
That's a simple name.
George. Pick us up. We'll see you.
You're gonna see a lift sign in my windshield. It's my girlfriend's car. Don't get too weirded out by that, okay?
All right, you got it. Done.
And I had to do some Uber Fresh deliveries from Uber Eats deliveries. Sorry, I confused it with another delivery service from a Burmese place. So it might smell like cinnamon sticky rice. Hope that's okay.
That's fantastic. Perfect.
They put cinnamon in the rice now?
Also, could you bring some food and then we'll eat? In fact, is there a Del Taco on the way?
Can we
when
just
you
have
come
them
on
in the food he's delivering?
Just soda.
Okay, all right. Just pick us up a soda, and then look, you're in for a real ride, George.
I can't wait because I'm a little bit aimless with what I want to do next in my life. Not that I'm, telling you that I'm open to
I'll tell you what,
suggestions.
of all the things to do in your life, how would you like to save the planet? Would you like to feel the white hot thrill of that?
Yes, and should I bring my checkbook?
Yes, of course.
Yes, you do. In fact, your new name when you pay us will be Joral George. Congratulations, Joral George. You've taken your first step to a much wider world.
Oh.
I like the sound of that. All right, see you soon.
All right, we got Joral George, we got Joral Joe. Listen, it seems to
Joral
me.
John.
I'm John.
Joral John.
We still have room for a Joral Joe.
Okay, good. Okay, so it seems like a fast way to galvanize a community. And
Hey guys, I'm waving at you from across the street.
Oh, great!
that's
Here,
fast.
hop in.
She must have been driving the whole time we were talking because it was a very long conversation.
Yes.
All right, hey Brian, let's go live on Twitch and make our first pronouncements.
Oh, do you stream?
Yeah, twitch.tv/.
I've got a Wi-Fi transponder in my car if you want to use it.
Great.
Yeah, that's
All right, here we go. Brian, you hold up the camera so we're both in it.
Okay, got it.
Hi everybody. I know that you've getting used to us doing comedy, but no more.
Yeah, man. We now we have a new mission. It's called Saving the Freaking Planet because we're not going to say exactly why, but we seem to think that this world might be about to end. And I know a lot of you guys know it in your hearts that we're 100% right. So listen up. We're going to need all of you to liquidate all your
Bleep,
worldly.
bleep. You get a message below in the stream. Is this having anything to do with that rumor about a comet hitting Earth?
No, it doesn't. Or does it? You can only answer these questions.
Tweet. No, really, does it? And is this your exact geolocation here? And there's a latitude, longitude.
No, it's not. We've spoofed the signal. Look, everybody, shame the perpetrators trying to silence us. We are trying to bring the truth.
Also,
Night Attack #1 fan. All right.
Jorals unite!
Shame!
Twitter handle to Joral, whatever your name is.
Also, do us a favor. Everybody sell all your earthly possessions, convert it into currency, and PayPal it over to us immediately. It will really help us.
Joral.
Here's a comment. How do I know this isn't a scam?
You know it's not a scam because it's these two guys you trusted for a very long time. So,
Well, I just met him today, but
longest, so 100% perfect trust. Our entire relationship. I've never once lied to you.
Okay, I'm ready to join, says somebody else. Where do I go? Is there like a compound where I can show up at?
You know what? I'm starting to think that maybe we got to do a journey from Southern California back to Austin, Texas, because we do have a bit
We are making the pilgrimage, as are you, dear viewers. Leave your work. Leave your family. Bring your family. We're not trying to break your family.
Sell everything, though, and bring all your money to there's 7 acres out in West Austin.
Your Costco membership cards. We're going to need that.
Yes.
I like the Costco.
Don't tell anyone. Secrecy is paramount, okay?
Bring toilet paper.
That's right. Tell everyone that you're joining Herbalife and say you're going up to Oregon, but secretly sell everything and take your money and come back join us at the 7 Acre Schwood in West Austin.
Also, use my promo code JorelJohn7 so I get a cut
of the Herbalife. Yeah, that's fine. No, that'll be good. In fact, you tie it to the main account. Okay, look.
That's my level.
You're
on my, you got your own level.
Joral John, we share everything now. That was creepy. I just have a bank account.
That was kind of creepy, but I liked it.
Joral George to Austin or to the airport. Probably to the airport.
Probably.
It's going to be a lot faster.
Actually, the bike shop, because I'm pretty sure that's going to be the best way for us to get to know.
Not today, Joral Satan.
All right, next time on Mission Quest, who answers the call? How many people show up to the compound? And literally, we want to know, if you're going to show up at the compound, send an email to
neshcom@gmail.com. It's in the show notes. Use subject line Mission Quest.
I'm in.
Great. I'm yeah.
Either one. It's fine. I'll read it all.
Well, it's be interesting. Next week, we'll find out, guys, how many members do you have at the compound? This is going to play a very important part of where this is going to go. I have a feeling. I don't know, because these things are just happening.
Oh, I'm just smelling where this is going to go. This is going to be fun. Fun.
All right. Picks?
Yeah, I got stumbled across the thought as we were talking about it. About the concept of gargoyles in the classic science fiction novel Snow Crash. I think it's been at least a year or two since I mentioned it. It's an oldie but a goodie. It's at the time it was fun to read Neil Stephenson's book Snow Crash because it was this wild prediction of a future that might be. Now it's fun to read it as how much of it he got right on the nose and how much of it, I'm not even going to say he got wrong, just hasn't happened yet. Like, it's amazing. Specifically, gargoyles are, you roll your eyes. They're so dorky because they won't take off their gosh darn VR glasses because they won't disconnect from the constant stream of information all around them. And they're a little bit of social pariahs. And it's interesting.
Sweet.
I
love
got a
that
pick.
book.
Sorry. Wait, you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. One of the things I loved about Snow Crash and Neil Stephenson is that I don't think there's a science fiction author out there who understands the technology better than him are out there. Not to say I agree with everything he says, but when he wrote a book called In the Beginning Was the Command Line, which is a wonderful defense of why command lines are superior to the graphical user interface. I think he's wrong, but I love the fact that he wrote an entire essay about this. And when he gets into a subject, he dives deeply. So he's a guy that's been involved with tech companies. I think he maybe worked with Magic Leap or something, but he's a guy that's been working with tech companies and whatnot because he really does have a very good understanding of this. So when you read Snow Crash, it's not some sci-fi guy going, I think this is what it's going to be. He understands a lot. He's got involved in video game design, etc. So I think mad props to Stevenson and Snow Crash. Sorry, Justin.
Hard sci-fi, as Party Down so eloquently stated it. Sorry to Bother You is a movie in theaters now. I think it is really, really good, and I am officially telling everybody to not read anything and go to the theater.
Just go out and watch it. Like, I think it caused, like, when they had that first trailer or teaser trailer come out, like, 6 months ago?
Yeah.
It was, like, it had a little bit of a furor over it, or, like, a fervor. Yeah. And that is as much as you should. Like, I think they've done a good job of making the trailers and stuff not spoil all of the really good stuff about Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah.
But
I will say this. It is the message movie. Boots Riley, the director and writer, is an activist. I think it's safe to say that politically probably falls in a place that neither of us would necessarily cotton to, but he avoids the two things that I generally don't like about, or not that I don't like about message movies. I think message movies can be important, but oftentimes, specifically for comedies, the message can get in the way of the jokes. That does not happen here. And you feel, because if it's a message movie, like if there's a movie about the school teacher who takes down the big villainous corrupt company or government, right? You know that it's either going to end with her doing it or her failing spectacularly and setting an example for wider change or something, right? You are never ahead of this movie.
Oh, that's
this
great.
movie is always ahead of you, and I don't even want to say anything else. Everyone deserves to go see this flick. It is something special.
Awesome.
Bryce.
So last week or a week before, I was talking about how I'd really fallen into Grand Theft Auto Online. And I think I've fallen out of that cycle now in terms of just it being very repetitive. But I think I might have something that is replacing it, which is the video game BattleTech. This is a revival of the BattleTech / Mech Warrior / what are the other names for it? It's this huge tabletop and computer game series for decades now.
Yeah, there have been so many different iterations, including there used to be like people would rent out giant chunks of the mall, and you would get into a pod complete with a billion switches all around you that you'd have to arm up in the right sequence and everything.
But it's basically a future sci-fi mech story where this takes place. So this is made by Harebrained Schemes, which is the people who revived Shadowfall a few years ago for really well. And so this takes place in the periphery of the universe, an area about 500 light years out from Earth in all directions. And you are in charge of a pirate crew, so not even a pirate crew, just a band of mercenaries trying to pay off your large debts, very large debts. And you're taking contracts and trying to work your reputation between all these clans. And what's really interesting about it is that it's a mech tactics game, right? So it's turn-based, but you're dealing with things like initiative and part damage. And in that element, it's like really detailed for a tactics game, right? Like when I think of a tactics game, I think of like a lot of Japanese tactics games like Disgaea, where you have like a ton of hero characters and units, but they're all just kind of like very, very shallow, where here you're have, you know, 3 or 4 people on a mission, and you know, you're taking care of like, oh, all of their arms and their legs and what's equipped to the arms, and if the arms are breaking or they're damaged and stuff. It's really cool, and it does this great video at the very beginning of the game that like shows you a very brief history of the past like 700 years of game of lore of like, oh, here's the first jump ship that goes off between systems, and here's the first ruler of the inner sphere, and here's the uprising, and it all takes place in like a minute and a half, and it's really great.
So it's not tedious, like and then the gnomes begat the dwarves begat.
It isn't tedious because even though there is depth to it, right? It's building in an empty space of all the Mech Warrior lore.
Mm-hmm.
It does a really smart thing of when you're reading text and you're setting up your character, it'll give you words in orange. And if you highlight over the words, it'll tell you what those things are. So like, oh, the inner sphere. What's the inner sphere? Oh, well, that's the space from Earth to 500 light years, and 5 factions control it, and these are the factions. And it's full of tooltips like that where you are like doing just very direct diving into the lore while also just exploring this new space that is a little bit disconnected from the larger lore. So I think it's really cool, and it's really fun to play. I'm only like 5 hours or so into it, but I've fallen head over heels for it. So that's BattleTech.
Nice. Andrew?
My pick. So back when MoviePass came out and then like lowered the price and I got all the PR, I signed up for MoviePass. I'm like, great. I'm going to take advantage of this company's financing round and use that to pay for my movie going experience, with the expectation that MoviePass would ultimately probably come to an end. And if you follow the press on MoviePass, not encouraging. And personally, as a user, I got a notification like 2 months ago, like, hey, by the way, you've been chosen for a beta program where you got to take a photo of every ticket. And if you don't take a photo of your ticket, then we're going to, cancel your membership, blah, blah, blah. Right.
Oh, Jesus.
I just got that today, but they've been rolling that out for the past few months.
Yeah, I got it in May. And I'm like, oh, thanks, MoviePass. That's great. Yeah. And then now they just announced, hey, surge pricing. Like, hey, if you want to see this movie, we're going to have to charge a little surcharge. And I went to see like this weekend, like, yeah, every movie I want to see on a Sunday afternoon has surge pricing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a model that like, we're like, we have no idea how this thing could work. I don't think they knew how it was going to work either. But that being said, I've seen some movies on it. I think I probably got my money's worth out of it. AMC fought MoviePass, like was really, really hostile towards MoviePass. And the best explanation was that AMC theaters was going to come out with their own competing product. They didn't want, to deal with that. And part of the problem with MoviePass too is there really are no theaters. You can order tickets advance. You got to show up on the day and show up like an hour before and get your ticket. AMC unveiled their plan, which, listen, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't like going to the movies. Like, I like to go see something sooner and sometimes on a big screen. I don't like going into dirty theaters, which maybe AMC frequently has dirty movie theaters. I don't like the fact that, hey, there are 2 lines, wait in this longer line to pay a lot of money, for overpriced stuff, but go over here and you get treated better, which I think is ridiculous. And I think it's one of the reasons why movie theaters are suffering. I understand you need to make money. I get that. But the ways in which they do it and creating these sort of categories, blah, 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 I find personally frustrating, And then you walk into a movie, you sit down, and the person next to you pulls out their phone, and you're like, I should have just waited for video, because then I can yell at everybody who takes out a phone and watches, plays their phone while I watch it. That being said, AMC unveiled A-List, which is their competing product to MoviePass. It's $20 and $19.95 a month, which is more than MoviePass, twice as much, but it's $20 a month. You get 3 movies a week. Any movie, right? There is no surge pricing, and you can order your movies in advance, right? So
and you can
3 movies a week.
Rewatch movies. There's no.
What's that?
You can rewatch movies.
Yeah, you can rewatch. MoviePass doesn't let you do that. And I found that I had MoviePass, but I was still buying tickets because I want to make sure I'm going to go see this showing Friday. I want to make sure I have good seats for this. And I was using MoviePass for like the fall off, whatever. I'll just go show up, whatever. So despite my hesitations and my frustrations, sign up for the A-list. Saw 2 movies this weekend. It was $20. I was able to see Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Saw Ant-Man and Wasp. Ordered my tickets well in advance. Got my seats that I liked. Was able to do that. And because I signed up for A-list, I get to go into that other line now, and I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, man. If I had an AMC near me that I really liked, I would probably move to this over MoviePass. But I think I'm gonna kind of wait out MoviePass until it sort of fizzles out, because there's a Regal that I like, and Regal doesn't have a competing product yet.
Yeah, and so for me, like my problem with MoviePass is, like, I've used MoviePass. It's simple. Well, it's simple, but it's unnecessarily complex too. The fact that MoviePass, I can't 5 hours from now, I have to be at the theater to order my tickets, and I like reserved seating. I like to sit in specific spots. Can't do that. They have like, some select theaters allow you to do this. Like, I've never heard of these theater chains that say you can do this. Point is, that's the limitation on MoviePass, is you kind of got to show up and hope you get a good seat. I'd rather pay for the convenience of a better seat. So that's the trade-off, is it's $20 instead of $10 a month. I get to get my seat in advance. I get to do that. And so I'm switching. I'll probably cancel my MoviePass thing because the deal keeps getting worse and worse. And I understand why. I get why, what have you. But I live in an area where it is filled with AMC theaters. In one block in Burbank, there are 3 different AMC theaters.
Whoa.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So if you live in an area with a lot of AMC theaters, I would say, what's the choice? There's a trade-off. MoviePass, hey, it's only $10, but have to be there, can't do it in advance, ... AMC's MoviePass is you can book your seats in advance, whatever. I was able to put 2 of them on one credit card account, so they don't have a family one yet, so it's a pain in the butt if you got to buy multiple tickets. But anyhow, that's my point. So far, A-list. Been happy with it.
And we reported on cordkillers.com, a couple of weeks back that Alamo is testing out a similar thing in New York for like unlimited. What an unlimited thing might look like for them. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Regal or any of the other larger chains do something like this. I bet they would love you to become like brand loyal to the theater. They would love that.
Which we talked about this. In fact, I think that's some of the bunch of the emails. As I postulated that I think a lot of people tend to have a favorite theater and not want to hop around a lot.
Yeah, I think. Like here in Austin, before I got the MoviePass, I would only go to Alamo's, but even then I was still bouncing between Alamo's because they have limited screens and limited showings and stuff. But, when you have all theaters and you can go kind of anytime you want when the theater's not busy, you can kind of just go see whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my preferred seat in my preferred theater, my preferred place to go see stuff. But I found out that the AMC by me, they have there was a smaller one I never went to. It's like in the basement of a mall. It's all recliner seats.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Yeah, so they're all recliner seats. So I'm like, there's much smaller theaters, but I've seen the last couple of movies there. It was great, other than annoying people in the theater. But so yeah. Cool. Anyhow, that's my pick. Hey everybody, it's been weird.
Coolio.
I definitely have to run to the restroom
I
real
botched
quick.
my schedule, and I'm on DTNS in 15 minutes,
Oh,
so
okay.
I had to go. But I love you guys.
Yeah,
Bye, Justin.
This will be good for after things. I look forward to hearing the brouhaha from you gentlemen and talking through how the brews can be dehas.
Well, we won't have Justin on that, so it'll just be us.
But you guys know what's what, right?
Yes. Well, I don't know what's what. I mean, I heard a thing.
We know some stuff.
All right, BRB.
Okay.
Then-
No, you're good. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Between the Things. Here we go. Here's a little bit of music for you guys. Come on back. How you guys doing? Man, I fell head over heels in BattleTech. So the only reason it kind of came on my radar over the weekend was, I don't know, I had some stray thought about a game that I had when I was younger. I was like, I remember this little thing, and you would walk around, and I remember there were robots. I could never really figure it out, and so I Googled it. I was like, okay, Google, MS-DOS robot walking city game, and it immediately popped up the BattleTech Inception of the Cardinal Crusaders Inception, whatever, the first DOS game. And I was like, at first I was like, oh, maybe I'll try, that older game and see what it's like. But then I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to deal with DOSBox and abandonware and figuring out what's what and what's where. And that new BattleTech game just came out, so having heard that it was pretty good, I've gotten that. And it's pretty neat. Harebrained Schemes did a really good job with Shadowrun. I love the NES Shadowrun game, and when they brought it back for Shadowrun Returns, after like all these other different Shadowrun games that had been made since then, they did a really good job of making it a like turn-based tactics game. So them moving into something like even deeper of mechanics, right? Like you're dealing with mechs and all that stuff. It's like that's the perfect team for that sort of stuff. Andrew,
I love that there's a new show here. Between Things. That's all. I gotta have you said, welcome to Between Things. I like Between Things with Bryce. I think that's awesome.
Justin and I have been doing a pirate video game podcast in the after shows of Night Attack occasionally.
Nice.
Where we just talk video games in the middle of this other thing. But yeah, I got an itch to do a video games something podcast, but I don't want to just I don't want it to be like news and stuff, because that's always, there are plenty of people talk about news.
Well, you find your passions, just talk about that. I think this show ends up being this whatever free for all.
Yeah,
I have to go check. Like I said, there are 3 AMC theaters in one block area, and I have to go like, oh, which one has what I want to see?
Had they always been AMCs, or is that market just so dense that it can withstand 3 of them so close?
I don't know. I assume that they've been taking over. I assume that's probably what's been happening.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've enjoyed using MoviePass, and the surge pricing stuff was kind of a bummer. But I'm someone who has a very unconventional schedule and will just go see movies in the middle of the day, because that's when it makes sense for me to do it. And so, I usually can go to, this crappy little Regal and no one's there because it's the middle of the day, and it's in Austin, so everyone's going to the Alamo.
Yeah, that makes sense. My movie habits have changed a lot, and I don't see anywhere near as many as I'd like to. And MoviePass for me was it's kind of like if I go to a theater, because I always go do I see the movie or wait and pay $20 and just buy? I have thousands of movies I've bought on iTunes, so I'm often to me it's just buy it and watch it. So I have to go through that sort of that math of. But now with the because there's so many AMCs near me, it's a very viable option of just, I get the seat I like when I want, and if I see one movie a month, that pays for itself with the AMC. So
yeah.
So, all right. So, question: do we want to talk about the Musk thing or something else, or?
I don't know how much material you have on it. I don't know how deep that rabbit hole goes, but I think.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk a bit about it.
Okay.
Because, we've all had our experience with social media, and
even if I just want to hear the story of what I've been missing out on. I don't know nothing
okay,
about
cool.
it.
Sounds good. Yeah. Sounds good. And I got another topic too. We'll talk about too.
And I think it sounded like, Brian, you wanted to talk about the property.
Oh no! I just assume people would have questions, or we could talk as much or as little about that as.
Can't wait.
Okay.
Hear about the compound.
Alrighty. Well. Let's take it away for After Things in 3, 2.
Welcome to After Things. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian Brushwood.
Hello.
Bryce Castillo.
Hi, everybody.
All right. So, I don't know if you picked up, but we talk about Elon Musk a lot on Weird Things and After Things.
No.
And Man, Elon had quite a news week for him. And I don't mean the former magazine, whatever. I mean, Elon was his, first is that, Tesla's always going to pull him into news. The most shorted stock out there is always going to, create news items for him as people try to explain why Tesla is about to imminently fall apart as a stock because some people have money invested in it, whatever, as the company expands, whatever. He's always going to be a target and also be involved in aerospace and doing things like SpaceX, blah, blah, blah. There was sort of a kind of two things happened. One was last week, if you're watching, we talked about the situation in Thailand, the soccer team, the kids that got stuck in the cave, and the cave was flooding, and there's hey, how are we going to get these kids out? There was a rescue effort, and lots of different people were participating in this rescue effort. And, like many things, success has many, many, many fathers. If it had, fallen apart, we'd see a lot more pointing fingers. One person did lose their life, rescue worker, a Thai, their version of the Navy SEALs, lost his life trying to save the kids. And man, that sucks. And my thoughts go out to all of our thoughts go out to the family and friends of that person. Cause tragic, but the kids got rescued. Now, in the midst of this, nobody knew how it was going to turn out. Nobody knew what was at stake. I mean, how it was going to play out, what was really, the outcome going to be. Elon Musk on Twitter gets asked first by people hey, why don't you do something? You've got engineers, you're good at this sort of stuff, you can build things fast, whatever. And Elon's hey, I've got my focus on the factory and stuff, but then he's I'll look into it. And then Elon's hey, you know what? Maybe we could build a submarine. Maybe my engineers, we could build a submarine that might be helpful for escape, helping the kids get out, because the problem is they have these water levels were getting super high. And his thought was if you put some of the kids who may not be able to swim inside of this thing, maybe that would be one outcome.
And by the way, there's a precedent for that. There was a made-for-TV movie called Everybody's Baby, I think, about baby Jessica, the little girl who fell down the well. And in the big media hullabaloo of you got this little kid stuck in a well that is 12 inches wide or something like that.
Yeah.
This pipe, truly horrific. And some of the ideas, everybody wanted to help, everybody wanted to do something, and some people had dumb ideas my boy's real skinny, let's just dangle him down on a rope.
It was man with no collarbone. They sent him it.
And then other times it's we're trying to dig down to that level, but we aren't digging fast enough or whatever. But it turns out that a new fringe technology, I don't want to say fringe, or just not well established, a water knife. It turns out that using jets of water to cut through stone ended up being instrumental in moving very, very quickly, and they ended up saving the life of that little girl. And so a lot of crazy ideas come out of the woodwork, and sometimes a crazy idea becomes instrumental in saving the day. So, at this point in the story, the idea of making a submarine to move people around, I don't know enough about this situation or the things they're dealing with, but, he does run a company that's whole job is to dig underground and stuff. So it's not the most outrageous idea that he should invest his resources to, make this happen.
So at this point, he's in contact with certain people involved with the rescue. And as we've seen in disasters here, who's in charge? A lot of people are in charge. A lot of different people. There might be the person who's the official government person. There could be the rescue team. There could be another team, another group, whatever. And so there were a lot of parties involved in trying to get these kids out, because everybody wanted the same thing. They wanted these kids to get out. Now, this is a great example. Scott Adams talks a lot about how different people have different movies playing in their heads, and they watch things happen, and one person's watching one movie and a different person's watching their own movie. Or I like to say there's a lens. This is how I see things. This is how now we all have them. I have mine. You can think I see things as they are. Then yours is probably the most diluted movie theater of all. We all admit that. But step one is to understand we walked into the same theater, the movie theater, but we walked into different auditoriums,
Sure.
And to just torture that metaphor anymore. So depending on how you see
we also all have Movie Pass, but some of us have AMC's new offering.
Go to the different line, yeah. So, and Elon Musk is a great example of that. There's some people who see him and they go he's just, guy got lucky. He's, always looking for PR to sell cars and do that. Everything's looked through the greed lens. He's a greedy guy, greedy lens. It's all about PR, all about this, whatever. And that's one lens that people look at him. Other people, my lens is like, I think he's a well-meaning guy. I think he's a very successful guy, and everything I know about him, I think he could be well-intentioned. Do I think that he could probably has done mean things? Absolutely. Do I think there are people who have had horrible experiences? Sure. Would I want to work for him? Probably not. But that's my lens. Anyhow,
and
Elon.
One of the other sides that I think was maybe against him was also just that the presence of a very publicized contribution to this campaign was more chaos into an already like chaotic situation.
Well, and that's that. Oh, the question is, how did that hurt things on the ground though? So Elon Musk says, hey, I'm going to help build a submarine, says he's going to do this on Twitter, and people are asking him what's going on at this, and he talks about it. Some people say, why did he do that? Because it's his nature to talk to people about what he's doing. Did it interfere with efforts on the ground? I don't know if anybody on the ground said that it made things worse and impaired the lives of the kids for him saying, hey, we're going to build a sub to try to help out. I think it brought attention to it, but there might be people on the ground who feel differently. If you use that lens, though, it's like, oh, he's making it worse. But it's like, we don't know what it was going to take to get he didn't know. Nobody knew.
Sure. I'm just saying, yeah, if we're showing off the different sides, this was the side that I saw.
And that's a point of view. Agreed. He's a father of 5 kids. He's got 5 sons. And that's the thing I look about this, too, is how does a father of 5 look at the situation and then say, hey, I've got engineers, maybe I can help. And then he did talk to people who had been in the cave and were trying to work on the rescue thing and said, hey, I'm going to build the sub, me try to help. There's an email chain of people saying, from people like, yes, this could be helpful. We might need it. And then Elon put it on, spent his own money, put on his plane, flew it out there, went to location, saw the caves, and then made comments saying like, man, the groups that were doing taking the water out of the caves were doing an amazing job. He was very impressed by how much water they were able to remove, which changed the conditions what they were. Anyhow, they didn't need the submarine. Submarine ended up not being needed. They did what I'd suggested, I think, on the podcast was probably just using tandem divers with lots of oxygen, whatever. It's probably the quickest, most expedient way to do it. But had conditions changed or you had currents or other stuff, maybe you did need a different thing. And it's one of those things where we go, well, nobody needed it anyway. Nobody knew that. We didn't know what was going to be needed. And then it kind of blew up because there's a lot of people ready to yell at Elon Musk and say, hey, it's a PR stunt. He only did this so he could insert his name in there, which I'm not a mind reader. I can't say that it's not why he did it. And same reason somebody can't say that's why he did it. We don't really have the capability to read minds, but that was the perception. And then one of the people, and then it escalated because one of the people involved in helping a guy who was attributed for helping to bring attention, saying, hey, we need to bring in this group of divers. They have a lot of information. They can help here, whatever. He got interviewed and ripped into Elon and told him, where to shove the submarine, blah, 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 blah. And so, and this, of course, this person, I don't know the story, what happened. I don't think anybody does. We'll hear the cave diver who masterminded this thing. Did he? I don't know. Maybe he did, but we're hearing people elevate my authority is this guy and he did this, or my authority knows this and he did this. We don't have all the facts yet. We don't know. Anyhow, this guy was very vitriolic towards Elon Musk for whatever reason it could be. He looked at whatever. I would say that it was extremely vitriolic. And then Elon Musk responded, and it wasn't very pretty where that went from there.
So he's responding to a Zeynep Tufekci posting about this New York Times article. He replies saying, never saw this British expat guy who lives in Thailand, sus, short for suspect, at any point when we were in the caves. The only people in sight were the Thai Navy/Army guys who were great. Thai Navy SEALs escorted us in, total opposite of wanting us to leave.
So far, so fair. This is
so yeah. Elon is saying, listen, I was invited by the people who were involved in this, and again, there are a lot of people working there. You might have and understand a place like Thailand. You're going to have the local politicians and governors and people in charge of stuff. Then you have the military who gets involved in the Thai, the military, Navy, separate groups, separate different people involved there that have their own communications, what's going on, whatever. And somebody can say like, oh, Elon, I had no idea. He wasn't part of this chain of command. Maybe this was, it's so complicated. But anyhow, go ahead,
so,
Bryce.
The thread follows. He
Hey, let's just say right there. Okay, that's enough. Maybe. All right, Elon, you made your point.
So he also is tweeting in response to this still. Water level was actually very low and still not flowing. You could have literally swum to Cave 5 with no gear, which is obviously how the kids got in. If not true, then I challenge this dude to show the final rescue video. Huge credit to the pump and generator team. Unsung heroes here. Now, it wasn't the story that they entered the cave before it flooded?
Yeah, they were before it flooded, and then there's flooding, but then the pump team was able to lower the water levels down.
Gotcha. So not long after that, continuing the thread, Elon Musk tweets, "You know what? Don't bother showing the video. We will make one of the mini sub/pod going all the way to K5, no problemo. Sorry, pedo guy, you really did ask for it."
What does that mean?
He's calling the person who was interviewed in this New York Times article a pedophile.
But why? That seems fairly irrelevant to
I don't know why. But
everything.
when later tweeted by Kevin Beaumont, sorry, he's calling the guy who found the children a pedophile. Real classy, Elon Musk. Elon Musk says, in reply, bet you sign dollar, it's true. Which would probably say, from a social media standpoint, a bad decision to just go around calling people a pedophile.
Yeah.
I will offer an alternative theory here. Man, I have no idea what anybody knows here. And I know that if, when you get attacked, somebody attacks you personally or whatever, then your instinct. And I think, like, if you knew something really awful about somebody, that's probably a very awful thing. So it's one of these things, like, I'm like, well, how is this going to turn out? How is this going to turn out? So that's the thing.
Well, and there is, man, Twitter. Oh, Twitter. Twitter is what happens when you want a chat room, but you only have the ability to send press releases. That is, it is, man, it's tough because there are so many times that you want to talk to your own tribe, but you can't do that without talking to the entire world on Twitter. And oh boy, that was uncalled for. That was over the line, and he should apologize greatly.
Wait, hypothetically, let's talk about a parallel world, because I don't want to get weird things soon. Let's talk about a different situation, a different world. Okay. Sure. Let's talk about, so there's a cave-in in Arizona, and a caver goes and helps, is instrumental there, and somebody says, hey, Bezos is like, I'm going to make let's talk, some other guy, Bobby No Name says, I'm going to help build an excavator thing, and the caver who's part of that says, Bobby No Name's an a-hole, we didn't need his help, he can shove his caver up there. But the caver is a rapist.
Wait, hold on. Is it known that the guy is?
Maybe you heard somebody said, yeah, this guy lives in Arizona because the rape laws aren't as strong, and he knows he's a rapist. And you say this guy's a rapist because you know this. You've been told this.
Then the most charitable version of that appears to be rather severely punching down, and puts me in the awkward position of feeling sympathy for the rapist in this. Like,
oddly, okay.
It's yeah.
It is a weird brand of justice if that is the scenario here, to decide this is the form that this information needs to be released.
And there's also, like, even if it is, let's say it was known and true or whatever, right? It's number one, a bad look for the company, but also number two, like the asymmetry of power really matters. That's
but a rapist, Brian, who has not been brought to justice in Arizona.
But, like, you are suddenly taking it upon yourself to be the owner of that information, and if you, I don't know. This is.
I don't know either. I'm like, let's watch the Arizona thing play out, because I'm like, where will this go? Because what if this guy's part of a rapist ring in Arizona, and all of a sudden the attention on that stops the rapist ring?
Well, so here's the number of independent questions.
Incredibly charitable, I think.
I mean, I could think of no scenario. Well, in the hypothetical, if you got two hypothetical people and one of them has done something, is it right for the other person to say out loud, this person did that thing? In the hypothetical, maybe. Now add the vector of like, okay, but the person who said the thing about the other stuff, if it's true, let's even say it's true, is clearly saying it in response not to anything except for the insult that he received from the first person.
It's coming out of anger. It is a
Exactly.
passion statement. And
Exactly.
Not
this is not a Washington
moment.
Post expose, to bring this guy to justice. This is the person who's saying it clearly, had his feelings hurt and then and wanted to lash out.
Yeah.
That alone, I think that's the heart of the dividing line. Then you also can pepper onto that asymmetry of power and the fact that Twitter is a weird way to do it or whatever. I think it doesn't read as anything except for hurt feelings on whoever the hypothetical person is that said this part. And I think with the distance and the clear head, I think they would know that. But you live your life in Sharpie on the internet. You don't get to take anything back. And there are times that you wax philosophical and it gets taken out of context down the road, or maybe taken purely in context, and you realize, oh wait, I'm a magician, and maybe I don't know. Elon Musk is Elon Musk, and he's not a full-time exposure of unsolved or of crimes that are latently waiting for someone to come save the day.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. He's probably adding that to the list. So so he just hasn't responded since then, or
deleted that tweet.
He deleted the string of tweets.
Yeah.
And the diver Vern Unsworth is considering legal action over the tweets.
Now you get into international law but boy, man, what a sticky, tangled up web of a mess. I can't think any party is happy this happened. I cannot think of, including most of the people watching it happen.
Yeah.
I feel like with almost the only people I think are happy are those people who irrationally have it out for Elon Musk because they feel like he's a swindler or whatever. They're probably very happy about this, but no other party I could think of is pleased with it.
So, adding to all of this.
Oh, it gets better. Worse.
An article came out, I want to say it was like Friday or Saturday, and it was what I would consider, it was no news if you knew how the world worked or you've been paying attention the last 10 years, but all of a sudden became news, was that Elon Musk was listed as a campaign donor to a Keep the House campaign, which is a GOP campaign. So he's listed, donated $30,000 to this campaign to keep, certain members of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives. And now it became headlined as Elon Musk unveiled as top GOP donor, which the unveiled part is funny because these were ProPublica records. And I've actually seen his campaign donations going back like 10 years. It was never news. He donated equally to both parties. He's been doing that historically. Anybody who wants to run a business and be able to get in and talk to politicians, you donate to both parties. It's a standard practice. You start digging into this, start looking at who does this, and you find out it's normal. But the headline is Elon Musk unveiled, like it was this hidden secret that he donated to Republicans. And his first campaign donations were, I think, to Bill Nelson, who was one of the senators, Democratic senator involved in the Space Committee, who has become very critical of SpaceX in some ways. It goes to show giving people money doesn't matter as far as buying them off, whatever. But anyhow, it's not a matter of all rich people donating to people on both sides. It's business people tend to do this. Businesses, the larger your business is, the more interested you have.
Well, and especially if whatever your business is involves public infrastructure or needs public permission to do whatever. And
not all do, but most do. They do, and often do. Sometimes not, but particularly if you're involved in government funding, where you need to have you need to get people to say, yeah, we're going to approve you to sell to the Air Force. We're going to approve you to sell to NASA. You're going to do this. Shouldn't be that way. It is that way. And so I know some people are like, he grabbed Republicans. I'm done with them. I'm like, I don't think he'd be a billionaire if he couldn't get in the right doors.
Yeah. Man, so here's the interesting question. Let's say all of a sudden the three of us are teleported. We're kidnapped by black helicopters.
Are we teleported or kidnapped?
All of the above. But suddenly the three of us are in the room, and in walks Elon Musk, and he's like, guys, we got a real pickle here. It's got a reputation restoration thing that I got to do. What do you three advise I do starting right now?
Delete your Twitter account.
What, the whole account?
Yes.
Or
Or just go dark. Stop. Quit tweeting. Like, it was cute and charming when he was breaking news on Twitter, and now clearly it's not working out well for...
I have the simplest solution in the world. Like, Elon, I'm going to send you a number. It's, call this person, Justin Robert Young, every time you feel like twittering something in anger.
Yeah, dude. Man.
Call Justin.
that is the lesson, man. Is don't tweet angry.
But I mean, this is one of the articles as I was searching for these screenshots of these deleted tweets was like, will Tesla fire Musk for running the company, whatever.
It's a horrible idea.
In any case, though, like, this is the extrapolation of what was very charming a few years ago, the personable CEO who was just talking shop and breaking news with you on Twitter, is now, doing stuff like this.
Question, Bryce, for you.
Okay.
Did he not do this kind of thing years ago? Is this a new thing for him to be thin-skinned and react like this on Twitter? Or is there more attention on him now, and more people paying attention to the tweets?
Well, sure,
I mean,
but whether he's always been that way or
regardless,
not.
Regardless if that's how it was, this is how that's scaled up. And if this is not working out well anymore with this amount of exposure, maybe he should consider doing something differently with his social media.
Okay, well, my point was, again, the point was, I don't know that he changed. I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm saying the point was, like, now that he's gotten, I'm like, there was a country, an imaginary country, where there was a man who wanted to run for president. They considered it a joke because he said anything that was on his mind on Twitter. Anything that was on his mind. He didn't care if he was wrong. He didn't care if he got caught in a lie. He did it nevertheless. And that man... anyhow, you know how that story plays out. My point is, and I'm not saying I agree, but I'm like, but also I remember like Steve Jobs. People are like, oh, this guy Steve Jobs, he's a jerk. He's this, it's this. It's like I wouldn't want to work with that guy. I don't want to be around that. But man, it works for him. I don't know what to change. I would like to see, yes, would I like to see like not doing this negative stuff? I agree. I would not like to see this sort of negative stuff. I totally agree. Also, this is a guy with Elon Musk who said, hey, I think I might be bipolar, and I'm like, this makes so much sense in the lens of that. And it's like, I don't know. I know what I like, but I also know that, man, you're right. Absolutely be ideally if that wasn't the case. But I
guess my angle on it is it doesn't matter if it's his fault or if he was acting in character, out of character. It doesn't matter if he was acting new or different. It even kind of doesn't matter what's being said. But when there is a mob forming and pitchforks are coming out, the question is, do you do something and risk provoking the mob? Do you or do nothing and risk hope it dissipates on its own, or maybe it does. A lot of things almost feel like they're going to be a thing, and then everyone calms down for after. Or do you do nothing and then watch as they just overwhelm and destroy you? And I guess those are really the three outcomes that I see
I would
to deal
say,
with.
But like the case of Donald Trump, they didn't overwhelm him.
Yeah.
He found a base,
Sure. And I guess you just get cozy with the idea that there's always going to be a mob with pitchforks hanging around you.
But to Bryce's point, if you're in a position where you're a CEO of a company where you can be voted out or whatever, it's a different situation. That's the thing. Where That's there's some people like, I'd like to speak my mind. You can't, because you're head of a publicly held company and you serve at the will of the board of the directors. And should they decide you can't do that, you're out. So
Gambling Man has an
point, Bryce,
interesting.
that's in play.
In the chat, Gambling Man says maybe he'll do a Zuckerberg and try a rebrand, which I don't know that he's been 100% successful, but I think the needle has moved farther over. Certainly, I mean, do you guys remember just how demonized Bill Gates was in the mid to late 90s? How genuinely enraged people were and really thought of him as the devil. I think Bill Gates had his eyes on a longer term prize. And I don't think I think history will think of him fairly kindly.
Sure.
Yeah, I think for Musk's case, I think that he's in a position where he doesn't need to punch down. He doesn't need to do this, and I think that. But given, I don't know what his mental state is. For somebody who admits publicly, I think I may be bipolar or whatever. I can only imagine what it's like to be him and to experience. All of a sudden, you try to do a good thing with a submarine before this guy comes out and says this stuff. He was getting criticized for this as a PR stunt, where if you're him and you believe you're trying to help, how does that feel? You're getting yelled at for trying to do a good thing. And then, next thing you know, hey, I have to, if I don't give to these, politicians, they're not going to open up their door. I do it to both, whatever. That's his point of view on that. Now, oh, you're worse than the Koch brothers kind of thing. And then it's like, I don't know. I've never been the recipient of that. I've never been the recipient. And I've fortunately, I've had friends that have kind of helped me learn good social media strategy. My simple is I don't go negative.
Yeah. And certainly, just as an overall strategy, I think in general, unless you work for the outrage industrial complex, I can't think of anyone else who there's no money in going negative for just about everyone, except for the people who are professional pokers of beehives.
Yep. Yeah. So I think you guys both made very, very good points on that.
He has too much money to be a one-man PR team.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, and it's.
I know that the sub thing was not really like a Tesla or a SpaceX branded thing necessarily, but
like he has enough money that he can pay someone to 24 hours a day be available. He's like, hey, I'm going to tweet and I want to feel like it's going out instantaneously, but you have a veto switch. Your job is to read a tweet and know if this is a real bad idea.
You get a 1 minute kill switch.
Exactly, right? Essentially do a time delay on everything. So you still get to use it just like you do Twitter, but you have somebody say, no, this is literally dangerous. We wear seat belts. Why not? Why not have a Twitter seatbelt, man?
Okay, yeah. Analogy that tracks.
Yeah,
I think that tracks a little bit.
I'm going to switch topics here, if I may.
Sure.
There is an article on The Verge which talks about something very interesting. It was an article following up streamers on Twitch that have nobody watching them. People who've been streaming for a considerable amount of time that have like 0 viewers. And it's very interesting sort of talking to different people who do that and how they've been streaming and they're trying to, part of it is this, hey, I like to watch people who stream. I want to do that too because I want people to watch what I do. And sort of the reality is that, there's not enough eyeballs to watch us all, watch all our YouTube videos and our Twitch channels. And I think that's a very important point. I think it's worth reading because you read this about people who these are people who I want to become a Twitch streamer. I want to do this. The mindset, hey, just do something, keep doing it, and it will work is not really true, particularly in a world where there's way more people competing for smaller slots to do a thing. That's not a reason not to do it. It's an expectation to go into it and understand that, like when I wanted to write books, millions of people write books every year. If I just wrote a book and said, yay, I wrote a book, why isn't my book number 1? I would be an idiot. I had to figure out, how do I make my book number 1? How does this happen?
Go ahead.
So the whole, like the rise of streaming, and I think the grandfather rise of vlogging before it is an extension of like people in a weird tangential way trying to make it like trying to make it as an actor, right? Like a lot of people want to be actors. A lot of people are very good actors, but not everybody makes it.
Yeah, it's a tournament, as they point out in Freakonomics. They say, if drug dealers are also rich, how come so many live with their moms? If actors are all so famous, how come so many of them are serving me coffee? Yeah,
yeah.
And I think. Oh, sorry.
And the streaming thing is I think the streaming thing is like a very easy thing for people to do, right? It's easy to like set up a game and a webcam and play, and it's an even lower barrier to entry than like vlogging, where you may have to edit or be very comfortable with your face being the primary focus point. And so you have more and more people and younger people getting into streaming and wanting to, become the channels that they like watching themselves, right? Which is not an unheard of workflow, but it's tough, man. There's not enough people for everyone to be as popular.
And I don't know what the tone of this particular piece is. Maybe you can elaborate for me, Andrew. But my gut instinct is it's fun. It's fun to try to get good at something. It's fun to juggle. It's fun to practice magic alone in your room, trying to get better. And there are musicians who their only outlet was, once a week, it's open mic night, and they know that they're going to be able to get 3 minutes on stage and nobody's going to care and nobody's listening and nobody's watching, but it is exciting, and that white hot electricity, fills you, and you think, I'm doing it. And whether or not people like it or appreciate it or it goes anywhere is kind of secondary to it. And I can imagine that because of the technology now makes it possible, just the knowing that, it's possible. You see streams where people go from no viewers and for whatever reason they explode. It's like I can handle, and we talked about this in another thing. I can handle the idea of failing. I can't handle the idea of wondering what might have been. I can't handle the idea of not trying. And I think it might be that a lot of these people are just, it's like, yeah, maybe it'll never happen, but I'm going to die knowing that I didn't, not even try.
When I think what makes it especially tough is that streaming is very immediate, right? If you're vlogging or you're making like a YouTube Let's Play channel, whatever, you are recording it alone and then putting it out and hoping people come see it after the fact. Whereas, there are some people in this article who've streamed to 0 people for years, over a year, for very long amounts of times, and that has to be incredibly crushing. Like not even frustrating, but like crushing after a certain point.
There are many, to Brian's point, there are many reasons to get into this. There are many reasons, ways, and outcomes you can get out of that. I would say that the problem I run into, and yes, it's people point out, there are YouTube videos with no views, there are podcasts with no listeners, there's books with no people who've read them. And that's in the age of the internet where anybody can do anything and produce anything. Doesn't mean that you're going to get you have the potential to go from 0 to 1 million, but that doesn't mean that you're going to end up somewhere in between. It means it's more likely to be 0. That being said, like my frustration kind of comes from people who walk into it waiting for the blue fairy to come along and grant them a wish. They think that because I showed up, that's all I need to do, and forget the fact that there's a million other Twitch streamers with 0 people. Why you? Why you? Why you? And you have to make the difference. You have to build your craft and you have to stand out. And if you want success, if you want more viewers, if you want this thing to work, and you're doing it 6 months in and nobody's watching you, I'm going to say this. Give up. I don't really mean give up. Give up. I mean keep trying. Just give up. But if you're really at it, keep at it. You can make it happen. Just give up your dream right now. For those of you that listen to the subtext of this, it's like you figure it out, get smarter, and that's the thing that and it's, what does that mean? You study success. When I decided to self-publish, what did I do? I looked at Scott Stigler. What's Scott doing? Scott's writing things that people like. Scott writes stories that people like. Scott picks, genre that he wanted to write in. Scott did that. Scott promoted like crazy. He gave his books away free in podcasts. I tell other like aspiring writers, like, oh, I do my books, I give them away free in podcasts. I did this. Like, what? Why would you do that? I want to make money. I'm like, well, great. Good luck to you. I wish you success. If you think you're owed this success just by you deciding to go do this, you're going to probably fail. I looked at people who were doing things that worked, and I said, step 1, make sure your books are good. I read books on writing. And then I looked at Scott. I looked at successful people and said, what did he do? Now, I didn't follow Scott's formula exactly, because I was a different guy. But anyhow, point is, if you have 0 followers and things aren't working, give up. Change things. Just quit now. Look around at success. Figure out what's doing. Just stop now and do something else.
And I think for streamers, a lot of of people stream by themselves. Or will do, Justin does a lot of one mic stuff, and he's been doing it for a very long time and is very good at it. I think of like the things that I like to watch as someone who watches lots of streams and YouTube stuff is like I like to watch chemistry between people, right? I think more so than just making connections, like having just people there and that dynamic between either whether they like each other or not, whether they're funny together or not, like there is an incredible amount of synergy that happens when you're putting multiple personalities together that I think some people who are streaming to 0 viewers are maybe afraid of or just don't have the connections to to bring someone in. But like if I was looking for advice as someone getting into streaming right now, it would be to have a partner, to have someone to be your personality, because that's what's going to attract people is personality, more so than whatever new game is going to attract the current wave of people looking for the new game. It's people who can be entertaining and build a community and connect with the people who are in the chat room, and that's the secret sauce for a lot of time that I think a lot of people just can't get over that hump.
Yeah, I really look forward to reading this article and finding out like what it is people want, because
it wouldn't be you, Brian. And people want what you have. I mean, literally. I mean, that's what most people, they want to have what you have.
Right. Well, and there's different parts of it. For example, we've all talked about how bad the BB Live show was when it got started, but that was me recognizing.
It was the worst.
That was me recognizing that I needed a safe place to be bad so I could become good. And 50 people, compared to nowadays, might as well have been 0. But it was enough.
You just
of an
insulted
audience.
50 people, Brian.
Yeah, 50 people is very different from 0 still.
Sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
But here's my point: is even if the number was 0, the structure, the fact that we are starting a show, and even if I'm playing, let's pretend we're doing a show to an audience of nobody, you're going to be dialed in, and you're going to handle it in a way that you don't if the camera's not even turned on. So it's like you have to begin by turning the camera on in order to practice. So it could be that they just want to get the practice, the training to find out. Or it could be that they actually don't want an audience ever. What they like is feeling like having a channel and feeling like they're doing a thing. And maybe that's its own reward, feeling like sitting down and at a microphone and talking like something and like you're right about things probably feels good enough for them to do it. And for whatever reason, they don't want to listen to the feedback that they're getting. For whatever reason, they don't want to change. Oh, I don't want to compromise my art or whatever. That is them refusing to listen to the niche that is open, because somewhere is an open niche. And there are whispers from it saying, hey, if you did this, you'll get more people. If you reached out and pollinated, if you brought in a co-host, if you tightened up your performance, if you pre-wrote bits, there's a million things you can do to answer the call of the niche. And I suspect a lot of these folks are refusing to do that. They're getting just the part they want out of it. And by not adjusting to the reality of around them, I could imagine you would end up for years and years talking to exactly 0 people.
Yeah, I think there are going to be a lot of different stories there. I know that, and on one hand, like, I mean, I have friends talk about, oh yeah, my friend's kid, they want to be a YouTuber, and there is this. It's like, remember the movie like Hoop Dreams talks about like these kids who want to be basketball players, and the reality of this, and then in YouTube's magnified that like a millionfold. You're a kid, you're a kid. Now your favorite stars are YouTubers, and you're like, hey, that's a viable thing I want to do. The numbers, nobody cares about the numbers of like how hard it is to do it, and because. One, it's numbers, and we're taught this sort of like you can do it sort of thing, and you'll find your thing. And we talked about this. Were you on the episode where we talked about the research that shows passion is something that's developed, not found?
No, but I think that's a really interesting idea. I totally believe that.
this research studies, some really good research says that that's the thing. People who kept looking to find their passion didn't really find it. People who just stuck with one thing and developed it decide, yeah, I'm passionate for this now. I'm a guy that does extremely unrealistic things. We all are, and I will let the odds affect me though. Like, people said, "Oh, you ever thought about acting?" Not a lot of people have said that to me, but somebody could have said that once, And my response is, if I wanted to be an actor, I would direct and act. I would direct, write, and act. I would not just say show up in Hollywood and go on auditions and try to get a job as an actor, because to me that's stupid. For me, for the way I play things, the chance of success on that are extremely limited. Talent is an assumption. You're going to assume that everybody walks through the door has enough talent to do the job. Everything else kind of becomes so many other factors you have no control over. I prefer things I can control, to my own detriment sometimes. But people aren't taught, and that's part of why we do after things like, hey, I want to be a YouTuber. Great. You can't just have a channel, or you can't just hop on Twitch and hope people show up by just doing it over and over again. That's dumb. It's really dumb. I'm going to use the word dumb and mean that it is dumb. It's like me writing a book, putting it on Amazon. It is that belief that the magical forces that make the world work have chosen you. They decided that you going to be lucky and expensive everybody else. So strategy.
Yeah, I mean, connecting with people is huge. You even if everybody in this article is let's say that they're good, or that they're trying to fill a niche, or whatever, they have all of the building blocks for success, or whatever. Like, it's partially an odds game, and partially like based around things that are outside of your stream. Connecting to people outside and promoting or whatever.
That was one of the questions that we got during the Wizard Academy course. Was there was somebody who was a late teenager who was like, how do you get anybody to watch your video? And the answer is like, well, do you know 8 people? And then it was like, sure. It's like, okay, of those 8 people, you can individually ask them, will you please watch my video, right? And then of them, let's say of those 8, 4 of them say they will, but 2 of them actually do. Well, if those same 2 people keep going, then what you have is you have a core audience of the 2 people who actually are showing up every time you post a video. You have an audience to an expansion audience that you can audition to by figuring out how to take those 2 people and invigorate them and get them excited, so that or to figure out what you're not doing for those 2 more people in the expanded audience that would get them into that, and then you keep going from there to where finally you get all 8 people, and then you say, okay, hey, who do you know that knows, and find out who the rest of your expanded audience is, and then you figure out how can we satisfy them and lure them in until you finally create this gravitational well where all of a sudden you have people you've never met or know who they are, but who fell into your orbit and like your work, and then they are naturally recommending it to other people. But it begins like a black hole starts with just 1 or 2 molecules, right? That's science.
How many molecules?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's got to start somewhere, right?
But yeah, it's a people game, right? Like, you can't rely on the Twitch browse feature to bring you people. You got to be out there and
one of the ways
on doors
is if you go in there and you're commenting in other people's threads, not, hey, go watch my stream. That is the worst thing in the world you can do. That is the way to become cancer. Is if you're in there commenting and participating and whatnot, and then you do have a stream, the people who you're benefiting will go, oh, check out, oh, this is cool. So we've done this. We have an entire network based upon, in large part, about people who are participating and supporting what we're doing. And like, hey, cool, check this out. We promote the works of people. Maybe we should think about doing like a special like podcast showcase episode too at some point, where we do like 5 minutes of, several different podcasts.
We are working on a stream team sort of organization now for people who are streaming and would like, how much runoff help we can give them, be it on Twitch or between each other, sharing resources, sharing people, doing promotion on each other's shows,
yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
We don't look at it as helping other people out or giving back. It's profiting off of unexploited resources, because energy, people willing to do something and say, hey, there could be something gold here. It sucks to do something and not have anybody watch. I'm constantly frequently depressed when I tell people Do this
Took a
thing.
hard left turn.
When I'm like,
cry
well, my
myself
niece,
to
so
sleep
just-
every night.
do this thing, and people like, yeah, I just hate, like, I have friends who are like, they want to do stuff. I hate having the same conversation I've had with them for the last 10 years. I'm like, why don't you this? Yeah, I thought about this. Like, all right, you're waiting for the magic answer. You're waiting for, somebody to say, no, here's the easy way. You spent 10 years looking for the easy way. Didn't happen. Not going to happen. Never going to happen now. Give up. Don't really give up.
Yeah, the way I think of it is, look, man, everybody wants to harvest before they sow, and the fact is, you got to keep providing value and keep getting better and build a beautiful, beautiful garden, and then at some point, people start visiting it on their own.
I went to a convention last week. Was at WesterCon. It was a very small convention. I've gone to some of these smaller ones. I have friends that get involved. Like, do you want to do this? And I look at my calendar and I can't come up with an excuse not to do it, and I end up doing it. And had a wonderful trip there. Very, very nice people. Some of these small cons. If I was a writer today and I wanted to build up a fan base, I would be doing everything I need to do to self-publish and push myself out there. I do the podcast. I do all this. And I would be going to conventions. And participating in panels is one way to do it. Being supportive, talking to people, whatever. There are it's all back to meeting people. It's why do politicians shake hands and go out and meet people? It's how you get support.
Yeah.
And as Brian,
and so at some point, it's interesting. So if you think in terms of platform, it's like if you want to build a platform, then you begin by, number one, having content that satisfies an unmet need, a hunger out there, the niche. And then what you do is you start providing value to other people's platforms, and then you harvest that goodwill by appearing on it and then saying, hey, can I promote my thing? I'll come and I'll do a 1 minute. In fact, Christy Cates fell into our orbit because she did us a real favor by recording a 1 minute question for Cord Killers. And she just kept providing value. It's like, man, we would love to have you be on the show. Every time Christy Cates comes on the show, what do? Is we talk about her stream, because she doesn't get on our show and talk about how great her music is. She talks about cutting the cord and all the content that we like. She provides value on our platform, and as a result, it is a welcome reciprocation. We are happy to encourage everybody to go see her do her music over there. So the fantasy that you get to make your art and the world discovers it does not exist.
There's the carryover effect. I have a lot of what I have because of piggybacking on Brian's success. Brian and Justin, and when they did Night Attack or NSFW show, and then I'm like, hey guys, I got an idea. Did a internet show with on skepticism and said, let's do a thing on weird things, and we all like that talk thing. But I mean, I took my audience from Magic, which I got partially from Rand Woodbury back in the day when I wrote Magic books, which I grew. And then I took part of Brian's audience and part of Justin's audience, and then said, hey guys, look at me, I got stuff too, and that's where these things come from. But part of it's, I got a TV show. One of the shows I got was I did a lot of favors, and actually, like my friends Joke and Biagio, I'm like, hey, Brian, Justin, Joke and Biagio, great guests, whatever, have them. And so it's just being there for other people. It's showing up, support, liking things and doing things, and then getting better. If your product still sucks, it's going to suck.
I mean, not that it's doomed to always suck, but I mean, that's a different, there's a whole bunch of different aspects to it, but
we should talk about, we'll do another episode. We'll talk about,
let me put it this way. There are
better.
a lot of really bad things that have more than 0 viewers. So like, I'm not
sure,
gonna,
but most bad things have 0 viewers,
Sure.
And so I'd say I would not want to use, I know you're not saying this, but don't use that as an excuse to say, I'm just going to do a bad thing. Your chance of success are even worse.
That's true. But even worse than that is don't even bother to do a thing because you're getting ready to do it right the first time.
We can
that's
talk
the real
shit.
crime.
If you're going to have a process to improve or make it better, that's my thing. Is like, don't be afraid to suck.
Yeah.
Just don't decide that sucking is enough forever.
One thing that I tell people, if we're still in advice mode, people who like want to get into streaming is like, just go and do something and find what is comfortable for you and what you like and what ways you can push yourself further. But also, like, every so often, go stop and just rewatch something that you did, or go listen to your thing. And if it would not entertain you, figure out what is missing, right? Like, and maybe it is. Maybe maybe you just do a chill sort of thing, and maybe you don't normally like doing chill things, but there are definitely plenty of people who like watching chill art streams or whatever. Like there's certainly a thing where your tastes may not always align with the thing you make. There's a possibility of that, but try to entertain yourself for sure, because that'll be a very good litmus test of at least some. It's a very simple litmus test of what you can improve on.
I'll bring this up. I had, and I don't have anything to back this up on. I have no idea, but I was at a conference and was talking to another writer, and the writer was giving some advice. And this writer may be absolutely an exceptional writer. I have no idea. But something came up where they talked about and their advice, when you have to get through that slow part or the bad part of your book that takes you forever and you want to race through it. And I kept my mouth shut, but I was about to go because I know this person's mainly self-published and that's somewhat great, but I don't think they've had bigger success yet. And I could be totally wrong, and I may have to eat my words, but I'm sitting there thinking, if you're bored writing this, your readers are probably going to be bored reading this, and I have no idea what they're talking about. That was when it's read your stuff. If you're I talk to people I outline. Oh, I don't want to outline because then it's boring for me when I have to write it. I'm it's probably going to be boring the first time somebody else tries to read this. Pay attention to that. It's just what Bryce says, not to say it has to be great. It doesn't have to be great at all. It has to be brilliant, but you have to go oh, what's the thing I'm ignoring right now? Mm-hmm. And then address that.
Yeah.
Picks.
I just finished season 2 of Glow on Netflix.
Is it great?
It's very good. It's really good. That's a show that is nice because it's very short, right? They're only 30-minute episodes compared to an hour for Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
But I think the end of the season is interesting and opens up new doors for what could happen in another season. I think it's really cool.
Man, my pick is Preacher. What? So much fun. It brings so much joy to me after the tedium of Westworld. It's just it don't have to make sense. I just love the moment a character shows up, I'm you got to be kidding me. They're going to do a thing with this. This is a lot of fun, and not all of it lands exactly where I want it, and then it gets certainly very silly at times, but I am 100% along for the ride all the way.
I stopped halfway through the first season. I was entertained, but I kind of sort of fell off, so I got to go back and give it a shot.
Oh, so you never finished the first season?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Okay, right.
My pick, I saw this weekend, and I'm going to pick Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, Andrew.
I mean, you sound like me.
I am very happy you enjoyed it.
Listen, I enjoyed it. If other parties did not enjoy it, I will not say, "Oh, you're wrong. You missed out on this brilliant." I happened by coincidence, I happened to have seen the movie Yes Man a couple days before, another Peyton Reed movie, and I'm I believe Ant-Man was directed by the director of Yes Man. There are parts of Yes Man I like, parts I not, but it's not like Yes Man's going to be, "Oh my God, it's great. You got it. It's the most greatest romantic comedy ever." But I'm yeah, if you said the director of this, I enjoyed it. What I liked was, in a year where we get, Marvel doing something bold like Black Panther, which, turned out to be one of the most successful movies ever. And then Avengers Infinity War, where you get a story about, some demigod destroying half the universe. Then we get one about, a guy trying to avoid getting in trouble because if he's caught outside of house arrest, he goes back to jail while trying to stop a heist, kind of thing. A smaller scale Marvel story. I like that. I like that the Marvel universe can go
smaller,
way out there on one end and then here. So
yeah, very cool.
So, all right, glad we had that conversation, guys.
I haven't seen it yet. I did not see the first Ant-Man, and so I don't know.
Ant-Man.
So I don't know that this is on my must watch list right now, but
Well, there are movies where I go, man, like not for me, but I know other people like things in it that I don't. Like there are fans of the DC Justice League and Batman versus Superman movies. There are people who like those movies, and I'm like, I wish I could be that person. There's people who like Han Solo. I'm like, I wish I saw that movie. And I'm sure right now Brian's looking at me going, man, I wish Ant-Man and the Wasp was like that for me. But Brian, I get it. I understand.
I think the one thing I can objectively say that I think not even you would disagree with. I think
this movie is 94 minutes long.
Yeah. No matter how you felt about the movie, I think the whole world should agree that Walton Goggins is criminally underused in this movie.
I'm watching him want to go like he's great, he's good, and he's like he looks young, and I'm like he's only like our age. He's not that old, he's just a guy that just sort of pops up everywhere, and you're like. Cool.
And he is so man. If you told me that Walton Goggins was going to be a bad guy in a Marvel movie, let me just say I'm really glad I didn't even know that going in, or my disappointment would have been even greater than it ended up being. But anyway, yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll say, Brian, if you have a chance, you should watch that and then Jurassic World, and then is the two extremes.
Fair enough.
Fallen Kingdom, man. I'm not gonna cry. I'll be fine.
All right, I gotta go study up the Court Killers.
It's been after. Bye.
All right, good show, everybody. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
thank
dude.
you, Justin.
It was good to have the gang all together. I'm gonna do Bryce a favor and shower.
All right, guys. Whatever your preference is for each other, that's fine.
Bye, everybody. We'll be back for Court Killer.